Chapter 329. War begins. Lu Qing's eyes were filled with coldness as he swept over the figures outside the palace. As expected, Lu Mu Yen had foresight. Otherwise the treatment would have been disturbed by these people halfway. Where's Sinan? Lu Mu Yen heard the noise outside, but there was no sound of Sinan, so she turned to ask Lu Qing. Lu Qing replied, "He went to check the news of Yenzhou Kingdom. It seems that something happened." "I see." Lu Mu Yen rubbed her chin, looked at the beauty on the bed and asked, "After she wakes up, will you take her away?" Lu Qing froze, obviously not expecting her to ask such a question, then smiled bitterly. "You saw through it?" Does she know?" Lu Mu Yen nodded. In her opinion, this man being able to give up his future and stay by the side of a woman who was likely to die at any moment for 10 years, was something that not everyone could do. Either way, he was definitely more trustworthy than that bright yellow figure outside. She probably doesn't. Were martial brother and sister. During a training experience, she met Situ Yi and was taken to the palace. When I found her, she had already given birth to little Nan. Lu Qing scoffed at himself. Although she lived in suffering before, but she never thought of leaving that man. How could I take her away? Maybe everything will be different when she wakes up this time. Lu Mu Yen smiled lightly. Lu Qing didn't know that the person who fell under the water illusion Netherdream actually knew everything that happened when they're asleep. The pills she fed her afterwards not only would help her wake up as soon as possible, but would also help her to deepen her memory of the past decade. One man only came to see her occasionally, and didn't deal with the person who harmed her, still favoring the harem beauties, while one man guarded her for 10 years as if to him it were only one day. Who was the most sincere to see Nan's concubine mother? This time, she used her life to verify it. I hope. Lu Qing lowered his head to restrain the pain in his eyes. This is the most complete collection of spiritual herbs on the continent. Your medical skills are so brilliant, and you're a grade 3 alchemist. I believe you can use it. Lu Qing recovered his composure, and he took out a jade slip and handed it to Lu Mu Yen. This can be considered a thank you gift. If there's a need in the future, as long as I can help, I'll definitely do my best. Lu Mu Yen took the jade slip and used her mental energy to sweep through it. Her eyes lowered with a hint of pleasant surprise. She didn't expect Lu Qing to have such a complete introduction to spiritual herbs, even accompanied by images. Many of the spiritual herbs in the jade slip had different names to the immortal cultivation world, but their familiar appearances jumped out to her, which was indeed useful to her. "Thank you." Lu Mu Yen accepted it without being polite, then after thinking about it, took out a jade pendant and handed it to Lu Qing, saying, "If she agrees to leave with you and you have nowhere to go, you can go to the Lu clan." Regardless of whether Lu Qing will go to the Lu clan or not, it could be regarded as tying a good knot between him and the Lu clan. All right. Seeing Lu Qing put away the jade pendant, Lu Mu Yan's lips rose in an arc. She raised her head and looked out the door coldly, then with a thought, the array flag returned to her hand. Immediately, Situ Yi led people to barge in, and when he saw Lu Mu Yen and Lu Qing, he paused, his eyes filled with surprise. "I wonder what Emperor is doing here?" Lu Qing glanced at Situ Yi blankly. Situ Yi didn't care about Lu Qing's attitude, and said with a smile, "I didn't expect Great Master Lu to be here. I received news from the secret guards that someone might want to persecute Chenner, so I brought people here." "Is the person who Emperor said had bad intentions me?" Lu Mu Yan's expression turned cold. "It's only me and Great Master Lu here." Situ Yi didn't expect Lu Mu Yen to be this bold, but this woman was his son's sweetheart and a pupil of the 8 Extreme sect that they managed to dig to them after so much effort, so he naturally wouldn't blame her for any small mistakes. "Of course Jean is not referring to young Miss Lu." Situ Yi smiled lightly, then the conversation took a sharp turn. "But I wonder why young Miss Lu is here along with Great Master Lu, and also arranged an array to prevent others from entering?" In his opinion, Lu Mu Yen couldn't arrange such an array, and he implied that it was Lu Qing who he was questioning. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Just as the two were about to answer, suddenly, a cold voice came from behind. "They were all invited by me to treat concubine mother. You have no right to question them." Sinan walked in quickly with a cold expression and blocked in front of Lu Mu Yen and Lu Qing. Although Situ Yi knew that his son always behaved like this towards him, but he was very displeased. "Then how is the treatment of your concubine mother?" "This, you don't need to worry about." Sinan immediately revealed a happy smile, and he approached Situ Yi and said, "You better go to the palace of that concubine Xian quickly. If you go late, you may not be able to save the life of your precious son." "What did you do?" Situ Yi's expression sank, and he asked with anger, "He's your blood-related elder brother. He completely believed that Si Nan would kill Siyu. My concubine mother only gave birth to me." Si Nan snorted disdainfully. "You're really unreasonable." Situ Yi took a deep breath to suppress the urge to slap Si Nan, flicked his sleeves, turned around, and left with the others. Si Nan's eyes flashed with sadness, and the expectations he had left for his father in his heart completely dissipated. "Mu Yen, has concubine mother's poison been cured?" He pressed his lips together and asked. "Cured. If there's no accident, she'll wake up tonight." Lu Mu Yen had never seen Si Nan's desolate look like just now, but she couldn't comfort him either. What this man needed wasn't comfort nor persuasion. Si Nan's peach blossom-shaped eyes burst into joy. "It's really cured. Concubine mother's finally waking up." Lu Mu Yen reached out and patted Si Nan's shoulder. "I'm tired now, I'll go back to my room to rest first. Go see your concubine mother." She could see that Si Nan and Lu Qing had things to say to each other, so she left on purpose. As the night grew darker, there was a knock at Lu Mu Yan's door. "Need something?" Lu Mu Yan opened the door and welcomed Si Nan in. Si Nan sat down and said, "A mere thank you is an insufficient response to such a huge favor. Just tell me where I can help in the future." Then he handed an interspatial ring to Lu Mu Yan. "This is a material thank you. I'll keep the personal favor in my heart first and use it when you need it." "All right." Lu Mu Yan accepted the interspatial ring without hesitation. In addition to the 10,000 spiritual stones inside, there were also many precious spiritual herbs. By the way, Yanzhou Kingdom and the Poluo Kingdom are at war. Si Nan handed Lu Mu Yan a copy of some fresh news. Lu Mu Yan took it over and read it once, her face growing more and more solemn. "According to the information you've collected, Poluo Kingdom's starting war has been planned for no less than a decade?" "Yes. Not only that, but there are so many sword masters of high cultivation bases. It seems that they have some kind of energy that can forcibly improve one's cultivation base." Si Nan said with furrowed brows. Lu Mu Yan's eyes grew colder. It seemed that the people who colluded with the Gu clan to attempt to assassinate her and her brothers were the ones from Poluo Kingdom. Poluo Kingdom choosing to go to war at this time was probably because she and her elder brother achieved good results in the continental tournament for hegemony, and were also attracted by a sect, which made them feel a sense of crisis. "How's the current battle situation?" Si Nan replied, "The situation in Yanzhou Kingdom isn't optimistic. Both your paternal grandfather and your father went to war in person and rushed to the frontier. Originally, both sides were evenly matched at the beginning of the war, but since those mysterious men in black appeared, the situation has turned one-sided. Now Poluo Kingdom has the upper end." Si Nan said truthfully. Lu Mu Yan narrowed her eyes, looked up and said, "Si Nan, I need your help now." "All right." Si Nan nodded without hesitation. Chapter 330. Return to Yanzhou Kingdom the next day. Si Nan's concubine mother woke up and Lu Mu Yan checked her thoroughly. "The water illusion Nether Dreams poison has been completely cured. Now your Imperial concubine's body will be very weak, but it will recover after a period of conditioning." Lu Mu Yan said with a smile. Murong Qian had been sleeping for a decade, so her body was still very weak, and her pale face was even softer with a slight smile. "Thank you, Miss Lu, for saving my life." "Imperial concubine, there's no need to be polite. Si Nan is my friend and we have already made a deal, so you don't owe me anything." Murong Qian was stunned for a moment, and there was a gentle smile on her lips. She liked Lu Mu Yan's frankness even more. "Regardless, you saved me, so a thank you is necessary." "Imperial concubine, you just woke up and you still need more rest. I've left a bottle of pills to replenish your essence. You can take it for a month and you'll see its effects." Lu Mu Yan took out a bottle of pills and tossed it to Lu Qing. Lu Qing put it away without opening it. He recognized Lu Mu Yan's medical skills highly. "I heard from little Nan that young Miss Lu is leaving today? The kingdom I'm from is now at war with another kingdom. All the members of my family have gone to the battlefield, so I'm naturally no exception." Lu Mu Yan's expression was a little grim. "I'm also about to tell concubine mother and Uncle Lu about this. I'll accompany Lu Mu Yen to the battlefield to help out today. Sinan pursed his lips and looked at Lu Qing, saying, I'll trouble Uncle Lu to take care of concubine mother during this time. If Emperor Father comes to visit, Uncle Lu can say that due to you helping to treat concubine mother, you cannot meet him. I'll leave a part of the secret guards to protect this place. Sinan paused, then said with a cold expression, The fact that concubine mother has woken up, don't let anyone know first. Murong Qian naturally heard the resentment and indifference towards that man from her son's tone, but she didn't stop it. 10 years had allowed her to see a person clearly. After waking up, she no longer had that man in her heart, and she would no longer break her wings for him and be locked in the cage that is the palace like a canary. After her son goes to the heavenly secret palace, she would also leave this palace where she paid her pure youth and innocence. You can go. This is what should be done. Murong Qian nodded in response. She could see that her son was interested in Lu Mu Yen. Since the two wouldn't be in the same sect in the future, going to the battlefield together now was perfect to raise their relationship. She still had a good impression of Lu Mu Yen, this stunning, straightforward woman. Sinan was ready long before, from when he received the news. After chatting idly for a little bit, he would leave the palace with Lu Mu Yen. Not only did Sinan follow this time, but he also brought 12 sword monarchs and 20 sword kings together. These 30 people were all secret guards trained by Sinan and Lu Qing, and they didn't use those of the Imperial family. In Yanzhou Kingdom's palace, Yun Tianchen stood in front of the Imperial ancestor and reported the battle situation. The Imperial ancestor's expression appeared grim. There were originally 3 sword sovereigns, and now with Lu Mu Bai and 3 others, there were a total of 7. Of them, 3 guarded the empire, and the other 4 rushed to the battlefield to support. After all, the other party also apparently had 5 sword sovereigns appear. Do you have any news from little Lu girl? Yun Tianchen replied, No news for now. I didn't expect that despite being so well prepared, the Gu clan and their elites still all escaped. It was truly a miscalculation. The Imperial ancestor sighed. No one would have thought that the Gu clan had already made preparations to escape, that there were 6 sword monarchs in the mansion to help out, and all the secret guards of the Imperial family that went to the Gu clan would all be lost. Yun Tianchen revealed a sad expression. Those royal secret guards were all carefully cultivated by them for many years, but they didn't expect half to have died in the hands of the Gu clan. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. If we continue like this, Yanzhou Kingdom would be in danger. Yun Tianchen smiled bitterly. I can only do my best to fight. If all really is lost in the end, then it's either the fish dies or the net gets torn one. Although Yanzhou was a small kingdom, but they weren't powerless to fight back. If they really were going to be destroyed, even if it was risking their lives, then they would still use their trump card to severely damage their enemy. The two discussed a few more countermeasures. As soon as Yun Tianchen left the palace where the Imperial ancestor was, there was someone who came to report that Lu Mu Yen was back, and also brought along a group of strong people. Yun Tianchen was extremely excited. He was an emperor who worked hard to rule, so naturally he didn't want to see the scene of his country's ruin. He wasn't the only one who was responsible for the rise and fall of his kingdom. With Lu Mu Yen back, he was inexplicably relieved. Lu Mu Yen led Sinan to meet Yun Tianchen. Uncle, this is Sinan who's come to help our Yanzhou. Lu Mu Yen introduced Sinan to Yun Tianchen with a light smile, but didn't mention his kingdom. With Sinan's current attitude, he seemed to want to leave the Imperial family. Yun Tianchen naturally knew who Sinan was, and his attitude was very friendly. It's a great honor for Yanzhou Kingdom to have the 5th prince join us. We are extremely grateful. I'm friends with Mu Yen, so it's only right to come help out. Sinan smiled, his meaning very clear. Today he came to help, not for Yanzhou Kingdom, but because of Lu Mu Yen. How about you all take a day to rest before going to the battlefield? Yun Tianchen naturally hoped that they would rush to the battlefield as soon as possible, but he still said very considerately. How could Lu Mu Yen not be able to guess Yun Tianchen's thoughts? She smiled lightly and asked, Emperor Uncle, how is the battle at the frontier? Did my elder brother and the others arrive? The battle situation at the frontier isn't satisfactory. Many mysterious sword kings and sword monarchs suddenly appeared in Paoluo Kingdom. With their addition, our side is simply unable to fight directly. Yun Tianchen sighed. Mu Bai, ZMO and the others have already rushed over, But I heard that the other party seems to have 5 sword sovereign powerhouses, so our chances of winning aren't big. As for your maternal grandfather, he's already overseeing the frontier, but it's useless if we have no high-level powerhouses in hand. In front of strength, strategy isn't that useful anymore. Lu Mu Yen furrowed her brows. It seemed that the battle situation had indeed exceeded expectations. Your Majesty, there is an urgent report. At this moment, a guard hurriedly walked in and delivered a battle report respectfully. Yun Tianchen took it and read it, his eyes filled with shock and anger. Seeing Lu Mu Yen staring at him, he handed her the battle report. Lu Mu Yen took the battle report and looked at it. Her furrowed brows knitted even deeper, and she read the news out loud. 10 cities have fallen in the border. Old General Lu was injured by a sneak attack by a sword monarch, but fortunately Lu Mu Bai and the 3 others arrived on time and rescued him. Otherwise he almost died for the kingdom. They're courting death. She tossed the battle report back to Yun Tianchen with a rare cruelty in her expression. The people of Poluo Kingdom sure planned well to even target her maternal grandfather and father. It completely stepped on her baseline and touched what was considered her reverse scale on a dragon that no one should touch too. Emperor Uncle, the 10 fallen cities are inseparable from the Gu clan colluding from inside with the outside. The Imperial family hadn't dealt with the Gu clan for so long before. Are you still thinking about your old relationship with concubine Gu? She felt a surge of anger inwardly and her attitude towards Yun Tianchen was also a lot colder. Yun Tianchen immediately retorted with embarrassment. How could I have any feelings of an old relationship with concubine Gu? I've already discovered that something was wrong with the Gu clan, and after bringing her into the palace, the person who favored concubine Gu wasn't me at all. Just a secret guard that I arranged who looks like me. On one hand, he confessed it to appease Lu Mu Yen, and on the other hand, it was also an explanation to Lu Moz. Lu Mu Yen looked at him in surprise, not at all expecting that such a thing was occurring. One idiom meaning to fight desperately in the end until either the enemies, fish, dies or they, themselves, die, net torn. 2. A reminder that, ni lin, means reversed scale or a scale that grew incorrectly. Figuratively, it's a scale on a dragon one cannot touch. It's also used to describe a person's weak point, but not necessarily used with a negative connotation, and instead, in a more you touch, you die sense. It's usually used as a kind of threat. Chapter 331. By a hair's breadth Yun Tianchen was actually very distressed. Originally, everything was very secretive and perfect, yet who would have thought that so many sword monarch powerhouses would suddenly appear to destroy it all? Lu Mu Yen thought deeply, then asked, Emperor Uncle, can the teleportation array in the palace be used to teleport to other cities? The teleportation array is mainly used to communicate with the outside. There's no direct teleportation point in the empire. Yun Tianchen sighed. Their Yanzhou kingdom was only a small kingdom in the eastern region. The arrangement of the teleportation array required a grade 4 array master to complete. The teleportation array in the Imperial Palace was all arranged by several grade 4 array masters from superpower kingdoms that they invited to come. Where did they have the power to set up teleportation arrays in other places? Lu Mu Yen furrowed her brows. It would be too troublesome to have no teleportation arrays. Ill-arranged too. You prepare the resources. Yun Tianchen's eyes widened, and it took a while for him to manage to say, You can set up teleportation arrays? He heard the news that Lu Mu Yan's array attainments were very high, but he absolutely couldn't believe that she could set up a teleportation array. Yeah. Lu Mu Yan nodded, took out a jade slip, copied a list of the required materials on it, then tossed it to Yun Tianchen. Emperor Uncle, can you find all these materials today? Although Yun Tianchen was very puzzled, but he also believed that she wouldn't joke about this kind of thing right now, so he checked it. Although these materials are precious, but we should be able to gather it together with the help of the Imperial family and the distinguished clans today. It wasn't that Yanzhou Kingdom didn't want to build more teleportation arrays, but it was because they were just unable to invite those grade 4 array masters, so they had no choice. Now that Lu Mu Yen could do it, he would definitely do his best to gather the materials. It was also for the sake of the future. After Yun Tianchen hurriedly left, Sinan looked at Lu Mu Yen in surprise and asked, You've already advanced to grade 4 array master? Could it be that only a grade 4 array master can set up a teleportation array? Lu Mu Yen asked without answering. Sinan raised an eyebrow. You really hide deeply. Even a grade 4 array master may not be able to set up a teleportation array. You must be proficient in the path of arrays and comprehend some spatial laws. This woman's array attainments actually reached such a level. It truly was frightening. It's all right. Lu Mu Yen smiled humbly. The corners of Si Nan's lips twitched. What did she mean by it's all right? It was obviously extremely amazing. All right? This woman had always hidden herself. If it wasn't for the fact that the kingdom was in danger, she probably wouldn't have exposed the strength of a grade 4 array master. Just how old was she? She actually had such capabilities. How could those grade 3 array masters that had been dedicated to arrays for decades bear this? By the way, don't go to the border with me for the time being. I'm afraid that those people will have a secret plan to attack the Imperial capital. Lu Mu Yen thought for a bit then said. Si Nan's peach blossom-shaped eyes narrowed slightly. I heard that there are many mysterious powerhouses on the border. It's too unsafe for you to go by yourself. He was called by Lu Mu Yen to participate in the war, but he didn't want to protect Yanzhou Palace. It was more exciting to go to the battlefield. I can rest assured with you guarding the imperial capital of Yanzhou Kingdom. After I go to set up the teleportation arrays, you can directly teleport over. Lu Mu Yen blinked and said. Si Han sighed and knew that Lu Mu Yan's concerns were right. All the people I brought will follow you to the battlefield. You leave 5 sword monarchs. I'll take the rest. Otherwise, if the sword masters of Poluo Kingdom attack the imperial capital, you won't be able to fight them alone. Lu Mu Yen said solemnly. With Gu Yuankai's sinister temperament, it was impossible for him to not bury any hidden dangers, so she felt more at ease by keeping Si Nan here. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, alright, when you need me, send me a message and I'll go. Si Nan nodded. That afternoon, Yun Tianchen had collected enough materials for 3 sets of arrays. Lu Mu Yen didn't delay and rode Bingji with the materials and rushed towards the frontier. Before leaving, she received a military token given by Yun Tianchen, so she set up a teleportation array in a city half distance from the imperial capital to the frontier, making it easier for future facilitation of support and to shorten the distance. After all, the speed of a Tier 8 demonic beast like Bingji wasn't available in Yanzhou Kingdom. Even for her, it took half a month to rush from the imperial capital to the border. As long as a teleportation array was set up in the 3 cities from the imperial capital to the border, when the time came, teleportation would be uninterrupted, and the reinforcements would only take a day to arrive, which was more conducive to war. 10 days later, Lu Mu Yen was about to go to the next city to set up a second teleportation array when she heard a rush of drumming just outside the city. Her gaze turned cold, and she directed Bingji to fly over. Outside the city, 2 young men in moon-white armor held a long sword and fought bloody battles with 3 mysterious men in black cloaks. The cultivation bases of the 3 were all at peak phase sword monarch and they formed a seamless sword array. The 2 people surrounded by them were only at middle phase sword monarch cultivation base, and it was already amazing to have resisted for so long. Lu Mu Ting, now beg for mercy. Open the gates and surrender, and this king will let you go. A big man with bare arms and tattoos said arrogantly with a big laugh. The white armor on the sword master surrounded by the 3 men in black had already been stained red with blood. He raised his head and a face similar to Lu Mu Yan's was exposed in the air, but it was more resolute and handsome, not at all feminine. Left King Luo, I live and die with this city, what's there to fear of death? Lu Mu Ting's angular face was filled with ridicule. If the kingdom and family were all gone, as the deputy commander of the army, he definitely wouldn't continue to live. Humph, you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. The large man snorted coldly and instructed the 3 sword monarchs in black. Take the heads of the 2 of them and hang them on the top of the city wall when this king invades the city. Let that old man Lu Zhantian appreciate his grandson's head. His voice was bloodthirsty and excited, as if he had already seen Lu Zhantian and Lu Mo Yes utter pain and heartbreak. Brother Mu Shi, I'll lure them away, you leave first. Lu Mu Ting wiped the blood on his face with his hand, gasping as he approached the young man next to him and said. Lu Mu Zai's eyes revealed a bit of dejection and desolation. Mu Ting, well, live and die together. I won't run away. Go back and tell grandfather the situation here and let them make preparations early. Otherwise I'll be too late when Poluo Kingdom troops arrive at the imperial capital. Lu Mu Ting said urgently. If anyone's to leave, it's you. I'll resist them for a while. You take the opportunity to go. Lu Mu, she said through gritted teeth. Kiki. One of the leaders of the three men in black burst out laughing strangely. "You two boys, don't make useless struggles. The three of us have had enough fun. You will all die. None of you should think of running away." Kiki. The other two also laughed weirdly, then immediately separated and surrounded them from three sides. Among them, the leader's eyes were scarlet. He concentrated the power from the other two, poured all the black elemental energy into the long sword in his hand, and waved heavily towards the two of them. A huge black sword light rose up into the sky, with a pressuring energy that would be difficult for even a sword sovereign to resist. It fell down on top of the two of them after fainting in mid-air. "No! General!" The Yanzhou Kingdom soldiers standing on the city wall roared one after another, with lament in their voices. Was their general going to be killed like this? Was their kingdom about to be trampled by an enemy kingdom? Lu Mu Ting and Lu Mu Shi were both seriously injured. Seeing the black sword light falling, they couldn't escape and could only close their eyes in despair and wait for death to arrive. "Go die!" Suddenly, an ethereal and clear female voice penetrated the clouds and fell with a strong pressure, as if with dissatisfied anger that could destroy this world. Chapter 332. A visual feast. Lu Mu Yen was originally planning to bypass the city and set up a teleportation array closer to the border, but halfway through the journey, an indescribable palpitation lingered in her heart. That kind of feeling was very special, not because she would be in danger herself, but it was brought upon by a close person, and the only person who had that sort of intuitive feeling with her was Lu Mu Ting. So she hurried towards the city, and when she approached, she heard the sound of the horn. That ominous feeling only grew worse. When Bing Ji hovered over the city, she looked down and saw that the entire city was shrouded in grief and anger. Outside the city, two men in white armor were not only besieged by three sword monarchs in black, but the leader also used a combined sword skill. That sword skill was something that even an ordinary initial phase sword sovereign would definitely be left injured by when encountered, not to mention that the targets were only two severely injured middle phase sword monarchs. And when Lu Mu Yan's gaze landed on that resolute face that appeared similar to hers, her heart trembled violently. Seeing that the men in black launched their strongest blow, the black sword aura landing above Lu Mu Ting's head, her eyes turned scarlet, and she roared angrily. Immediately, a huge golden sword light fell at the speed of thunder, passing through the clouds, instantly annihilating the black sword light. Lu Mu Ting and Lu Mu Shi felt that the killing intent suddenly disappear when the sword was about to reach their foreheads. When they opened their eyes, they saw the golden sword light annihilating the black sword shadow. Then, countless orange fire lotuses floated out from the beyond clouds. They splashed and dyed the entire blue sky an orange-red, dazzling, and colorful. At this time, whether it was the soldiers of Yanzhou Kingdom standing on the city wall, or the enemy troops of Paoluo Kingdom, they all looked up and stared at the falling fire lotuses. "Be careful!" The leading pupils of the black-clothed sword monarch who was besieging the two constricted, and a shadow of death quickly enveloped him. He only shouted those words before he was enveloped in blossoming orange lotus flowers. "Ah!" 3 shrill screams sounded in the air. Everyone's scalp was numb, and when they looked up, they saw that wherever the gorgeous extravagant lotuses passed, except for Lu Mu Ting and Lu Mu Shi, everything turned to ashes, paying homage to the blossoming of the lotuses. Lu Mu Yen stood on Bing Ji, waved her sleeves, and a soft wind roared out. The wind blew through the lotuses, and after a few whirls, the petals detached from the stamen, swaying as they fell down in the direction of Paoluo Kingdom. The floral rain-like landscape formed a beautiful scenery. What's this? The soldiers of Paoluo Kingdom looked at the colorful falling fire lotus petals in a stunned manner, and were buried in the rain of flowers before they could even be shocked. The left King Luo and the 3 men in black at peak phase sword monarch reacted quickly, wielding their defensive magic tools to quickly avoid the petals. However, they were all still affected, and also shrieked, but they didn't die and were only burned by the petals. Who is it? The left King Luo took out his long sword with a ferocious expression and quickly chopped off his left arm, which had been stained with petals, and shouted piercingly, "If you dare sneak attack, you dare appear. Who is it?" Humph! With a cold huff, a huge cyan blue ice bird flew down from the clouds, and a peerless and elegant, purple-clothed woman stood atop of him. "That's a nice one." A sword monarch beside left King Luo also cut off one of his arms, looking at the sudden appearance of the one person, one bird with a grim expression. The left King Luo was shocked, and his tone sounded as if he was grinding his teeth. "That's Lu Mu Yen." Lu Mu Ting, who was standing mid-air, looked at the light purple figure with a consonant heart. The anger and distress in her eyes were evident, and he hooked the corners of his lips up, his voice warm. "Little sister, come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Lu Mu Yen jumped off Bingji and landed beside the two of them. She supported the wobbling two and brought them back to the city wall. "Big brother." Lu Mu Yen quickly checked Lu Mu Ting's body and was relieved to find that there was no life-threatening injury except for excessive bleeding and some internal injuries. Him appearing to be covered in blood made her almost suffocate, and her concern caused her to feel slightly chaotic. "Little sister, I'm fine." Lu Mu Ting hadn't seen Lu Mu Yen for a long time, and regardless of the blood on his body, he reached out to hug her. "Little sister's thinner." Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him angrily. "You almost died, do you know? Why didn't you know to escape?" She believed that it was still possible to escape from the three-sword monarchs with her elder brother's abilities. He still had the teleportation talisman she gave him. "Well, isn't it that little sister came down like a deity to save your elder brother?" Lu Mu Ting's resolute face was filled with soft colors, then it was replaced by a touch of firmness. "I was sent by grandfather to guard the city, so naturally I live and die with the city, the soldiers and the citizens. I've already put my life and death aside, so how can I escape?" Lu Mu Yen sighed and didn't know what to say. She was actually cold by nature and only paid attention to the people she cared about. Now that she heard his passionate remarks, she couldn't help but be moved. "Are you Mu Yen?" The young man standing beside the two suddenly spat out a few words uncertainly. Earlier, Lu Mu Yen was too worried about Lu Mu Ting, so she temporarily ignored this paternal elder cousin brother. With a dignified appearance, there was a soldier's perseverance in his bones, which quickly overlapped with a person in her mind. Big brother Mu Shi. She still attached great importance to these relatives who once took care of her. "You're actually really Mu Yen." Lu Mu Shi put away the surprise in his eyes, reached out and patted Lu Mu Yan's head like he did when he was younger. "Not only is the little girl more and more beautiful, but your strength has also opened our eyes." If Lu Mu Yen of the past saw today's scene, she may not have had stage fright, but it was absolutely impossible to have the current momentum. Now she was alluring and stunning, and her whole person glowed with a self-confidence and flamboyant temperament, exceptionally dazzling. "It's young miss. It's young miss." A vice-general of a brigade on the city wall suddenly shouted excitedly. They were all the Lu clan soldiers, and had always felt contradicting emotions towards the young miss who turned from trash into a genius. After all, Lu Mu Yen had often lost the face of old general and general. But ever since she participated in the Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemony, not only did she wash away the name of trash, but she also won the championship, making them proud. Just now, when they watched their two young generals about to be beheaded by the enemy army, they were helpless and felt desolate and desperate. They waited for death to accompany the two young generals, dying to protect the city. Yet who knew that their young miss would arrive like a deity of war, instantly blocking the momentous black sword aura and killing 3 peak phase sword monarchs. Especially after the visual feast just now of the falling fire lotuses that wiped out most of the enemy sword masters who were approaching the city, their admiration for her was exceptionally high. "Mighty young miss! Mighty young miss!" Someone took the lead and the soldiers and citizens who had just survived with their lives shouted frantically. Lu Mu Yan's heart was slightly touched. She turned her head and glanced at those eyes of adoration and passion, and trembled again. She came to the battlefield to support only because of her family, and didn't think about other things. But now that she looked at Yan's soldiers and citizens, and their warm eyes and shouts, her deserted heart couldn't help but be cast with some ripples. Then she turned her head and looked at the enemy generals not far away. The killing intent in her eyes were strong. These invaders burned, killed, looted, and committed all kinds of evil, and now they dared to touch her elder brother's head, truly courting death. "I'm going to clean up those flies first and then we'll catch up." Chapter 333. Frontier Chaos. After Lu Mu Yen finished speaking with Lu Mu Ting and Lu Mu Shi, she tapped her toes and flew out of the city wall. The left King Luo and the others were shocked, and all took out their magic tools to kill her. "Whose head did you want to hang on the top of the city wall earlier?" Lu Mu Yen looked at the left King Luo sharply, coldly. She sure didn't forget that just now, this man ordered her elder brother's head to be cut off and hung on the city wall to let her grandpa and father suffer the bereaving pain of losing their son and having white-haired people send off black-haired people. How could she let him succeed? Her favorite thing to do was to retaliate against others with what they had done to her. Left King Lao's cultivation base was also at peak phase Sword Monarch, but the momentum was much weaker than Lu Mu Yan's. Stared at by her grim eyes, he only felt shivers all over his body. What if it is this king? Even if he was afraid, as the main general, he couldn't weaken his own momentum, but he was more cautious. Lu Mu Yan raised an eyebrow. I didn't expect you to have a little bit of manliness. Left King Luo was stunned for a moment, then was about to breathe a sigh of relief inwardly. But who knew he would then hear her say, but your life wouldn't remain for long. When your head is hung on the city wall, this mist will definitely spread your glorious deeds and let the Paluo Kingdom royalty be proud of you. You push people too much. When did he, the left King Luo, suffer this kind of humiliation? Not to mention that the other party was still a young girl. But he was still rather afraid of the power of her fire lotus, so he gave a look to some people around him. Lu Mu Yan looked at him with ridicule, and with a thought, a golden sword shadow emerged from the void behind in the air, carrying a stronger pressure and power than the previous black sword. Seeing this, the left King Luo and several others resorted to defensive magic tools to resist, then fled in different directions. Although they were arrogant, but what was arrogance when they wanted their lives? They were not fools like Lu Mu Ting and Lu Mu Shi who would sacrifice their lives for the grudges of the clan and kingdom. The palpitations of death that came from the golden sword made them completely give up their resistance and just wanted to escape. But Lu Mu Yan naturally wouldn't let them succeed. With a snap of her fingers, the golden vines with its sharp thorns underground emerged and quickly wrapped around the ankles of the fleeing people. Immediately after a strong pull, the several people smashed into the ground one by one, and golden vines instantly enveloped the several people's bodies. Ah! The screams gradually weakened, and finally dissipated in the sky with the wind and their auras of life. After the golden vines receded, only a few corpses were left behind that had been drained of blood essence, not knowing how they even died. Lu Mu Yan narrowed her eyes and said to Bing Ji, "Go and chop off their heads and hang them on the wall." Bing Ji looked at the mummified corpses with disgust and said, aggrieved, "Owner, why am I doing this kind of thing again? If you can get Miao Miao and Mo Yen to do it, then I don't mind them helping you." Lu Mu Yen glanced at him. Bing Ji instantly released his small eyes to ask for help, but Miao Miao just directly pretended to be dead and wrapped around Lu Mu Yan's wrist tightly, not looking at him, while Mo Yen just raised his head and replied lazily with one look that said if you don't want to die, get to work quickly. Xue Xue had long returned to Lu Mu Yan's other wrist to digest the blood essence that he had just absorbed. Bing Ji found that among the several spirit pets, although his cultivation base was the highest, but all of them were bigger masters than him, and most importantly, he couldn't even provoke any of them. The last time he had a fight with Miao Miao and Xue Xue, he didn't expect that he was actually the one most injured. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks as the descendant of a Saiyan Luan, at that time, he just wanted to find a hole and bury himself in it. Since then, he had never dared to slacken his cultivation, otherwise he would definitely be the one to do all the hard work in the future. He was even more in awe of Mo Yen, the boss, and didn't dare to provoke him at all. They all knew that Boss Missouri was a more ruthless character than Owner, and if he provoked him, even if he didn't die, he would definitely lose a layer of skin. So Bing Ji swept his gaze around and found that there were no people or demonic beasts who could help. He could only walk forward bitterly and cut off the heads of the several people and hang them on the city wall. When Lu Mu Yen returned to the city wall again, the whole city was boiling with exhilaration and they cheered, "Mighty young miss! Strongest young miss! Little sister, you're really mighty and extraordinary now." Lu Mu Ting's face that was similar to Lu Mu Yan's was filled with smiles. His little sister's current achievements and strength made him proud. However, after what happened recently, a sense of crisis also developed in his heart, and his desire to become stronger only grew. He couldn't hide under the protection of his little sister, and he secretly decided inwardly that he would make a breakthrough on his own and provide little sister a strong background and support in the future. Lu Mu Yen glared at him. "Why aren't you and Big Brother Mu Shi bandaging your wounds now?" It was only then that Lu Mu Ting and Lu Mu Shi remembered the injuries on them. "It's not a big problem with this little skin-deep injury. I've got some wound medicine on me. You two go and apply it quickly." Lu Mu Yen took out a few boxes of ointment and stuffed it to the two of them. An hour later, Lu Mu Ting brought Lu Mu Yen to the city lord's mansion to talk. "Little sister, why did you come here?" Lu Mu Ting cleaned himself, and after applying Lu Mu Yan's ointment, the wounds on his body were all healed. Lu Mu Yen said, I was going to rush to the frontier, but there was a certain feeling that led me to come here. I think it must be the feeling between us siblings. They were dragon and phoenix babies too, and so they both had a spiritual connection with each other. That's true. Before, when I felt as if I was going to die, the first thing that popped into mind was your figure. Lu Mu Ting smiled lightly. Who knew that you would then arrive like a deity and rescue us? Just keep being cheeky. Lu Mu Yen looked at him in amusement, thought a bit, then asked, Big brother, how was the recent battle? As she came, she heard that another city had fallen. The situation at the frontier guarded by grandfather and the others weren't optimistic. The enemy came violently and uses a lot of aggressive tactics. The Chang Kingdom in the west has already united with the Palyuo Kingdom. They were the ones that occupied the city that was captured 2 days ago. Lu Mu Ting clenched his hands and said with regret. No one wanted to see their own kingdom's land being violently occupied by people from other kingdoms. The destruction of a kingdom and its families were the things one was most unwilling to see and face. Chang Kingdom? Is that the kingdom famous for controlling beasts? Lu Mu Yen furrowed her brows. The Chang Kingdom was also a small kingdom in the eastern region. It was sparsely populated, but it was very mysterious. It was said that half of the people in the kingdom could control demonic beasts to attack. And their beast taming was different to the contracts of spirit beast masters. They used a secret skill to directly control demonic beasts. Yes. The city that fell 2 days ago was captured with the help of demonic beasts. Lu Mu Ting sighed. According to the battle report, the Chang Kingdom's combat power isn't weaker than that of the Palyuo Kingdom. They had long allied with Palyuo Kingdom secretly and planned to invade. It seems that their target isn't just us Yenzhou. I always had a feeling that there are some ulterior motives hidden behind them. Lu Mu Yen tapped the table lightly with her finger, and her willow brows furrowed. One basically for old people, white-haired, to have their descendants, black-haired, die. 2 just another term for twins, but specifically 1 girl 1 boy. Chapter 334. Arrived just on time. Lu Mu Yen arranged a teleportation array in the city and a 7-star killing array outside the city. After all the arrays were arranged, Lu Mu Yen handed a palm-sized array flag and a bag of spiritual stones to Lu Mu Ting. Big brother, activating this killing array needs to consume spiritual stones, and you need to replace it every 3 times. Lu Mu Ting put away the things with a proud look on his face. I didn't expect my little sister to be so accomplished in arrays. Yup. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow and smiled, saying, Big brother, if there's an enemy attack in the future, you can just hide in the array and use the communication talisman to ask for reinforcements. Don't go out to fight to your death. All right, don't worry, we won't be as impulsive as last time. Lu Mu Ting hugged Lu Mu Yen. Little sister, you also have to be very careful yourself. They can attempt to assassinate you once. There may be a second time, third time. I will. Lu Mu Yen nodded. But inwardly, she'd rather these people who were seeking death to come and assassinate her. After chatting with Lu Mu Ting and Lu Mu Shi, Lu Mu Yen set foot on the road to the last city on the border under the expectant and proud eyes of the generals of Yenzhou Kingdom. The places she passed were deserted and the citizens were all displaced. Although there were sword master armies organized by her grandfather protecting them up south, but there was no way to save every single person. 5 days later, she arrived at the frontier where the Palyuo Kingdom was, which was also the largest city on the border of Yenzhou Kingdom, and where her grandfather and the others were guarding. She stood on Bingji and flew close to the city when she heard the sound of battles and roars of demonic beasts not far away. She narrowed her eyes. It seemed that she happened to encounter a melee between the 2 kingdoms again. The plain outside the city was filled with people, from soldiers as small as sword apprentices to those captains at sword monarch level, all fighting. Lu Zhantian rode a crimson tiger and wielded a sledgehammer to fight against the opponent's general. Both were sword monarchs and they fought on the same level. Lu Zhantian and Lu Mo, you both reached the bottleneck of Sword King before, and after taking the pills refined by Lu Mu Yen, they broke through to Sword Monarch one after another. Lu Zhantian, today this king will let you and the Lu clan's army be buried here. The enemy general sneered. Right, King Luo, you dare to say such arrogant words. Lu Zhantian laughed disdainfully. Didn't left King Luo want to behead my grandson and hang his head on the wall before? In the end, didn't his own head end up being hung on the wall? Don't compare this king with that trash. The right King Luo and left King Luo had always been at odds. He was good at scheming while the left King Luo liked battles. The news that the left King Luo's head was hung on the wall by Lu Mu Yen had already spread. But he actually felt that it was fortunate. That reckless man often opposed him, and his cultivation base was also higher than him. Now that he was dead, his status in the royal court also advanced a lot. People have to have knowledge of one's own limitations. Lu Zhantian looked at the right King Luo with a half-smile. Although Lu Zhantian laughed indifferently, but there was a faint uneasiness in his heart. In the past, the mysterious black-clothed men would appear in the battle, but today was too calm. Suddenly, a roar of demonic beasts sounded, and a large army of demonic beasts appeared from the rear of Palyuo Kingdom, all rushing towards the army of Yanzhou Kingdom. Many soldiers who were still fighting in front were bitten by the demonic beasts and swallowed into their stomachs before they could even react. Haha, old man, those that laugh at the end are the winners. Seeing that the reinforcements had arrived, the right King Luo quickly retreated into the army on the mount he was on. Lu Zhantian and Lu Mo you watched as waves of demonic beasts appeared in their line of sight opposite, and their calm faces revealed solemnity and shock. Quickly go back to the city. Lu Zhantian saw that the Chong Kingdom had ultimately come, and the current situation wasn't favorable for Yanzhou, so he immediately had people blow the horn to withdraw the army. Hearing the horn, the other soldiers quickly retreated in the direction of the city. Yet who knew that there would be another burst of roars of demonic beasts from the sky, and flying demonic beasts rushed down from the sky fiercely one after the other. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks atop the demonic beasts were teams of enemy soldiers who immediately took advantage of their superiority in the sky to occupy the city wall. Meanwhile there were more and more demonic beasts surrounding them, along with sword masters from both kingdoms rushing towards Lu Zhantian and the others. Seeing the embattled scene, Lu Mo's expression changed. Father, what should we do now? Raid? The other generals also looked at the mighty and extraordinary marshal on the blood tiger, but their mood was a little low at this time. Although most of those demonic beasts were tier 2 or 3, but their weaknesses were also compensated by their numbers. Most of their soldiers' cultivation bases were great sword master. It was still possible for them to win against a few, but if they were besieged by a group of ferocious demonic beasts, they would surely die. Lu Zhantian closed his eyes. So this day had still arrived? Since the beginning of the sudden war, he and his son hurried to the frontier, but found that many people in the army were bought by Gu Yuan Kai's people. Although the Lu clan's army were invincible, but the disparity in numbers couldn't be mended. The enemy had many high-level swordmasters with a variety of tricks, and now they had even united with the mysterious Chong Kingdom, which was famous for their beast taming. 2 fists lost to 4 hands, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of grief and anger in his heart. Today, whether it was to fight or to stay in the city, they still couldn't escape the opponent's arrangement. After all, flying-type demonic beasts were too rare, and the Yanzhou Kingdom simply didn't have the strength to form such an army. And Lu Mu Bai and the other 3 were entangled in the distance by 5 strong sword sovereign powerhouses from the enemy army, and they couldn't get away to come help either. Let's sprint towards the southeast together. We must cut open a bloody path. Lu Zhantian swung his sledgehammer to the southeast and shouted. No matter what, they couldn't give up. Even if they lost this city, they would still have a chance to retaliate. Charge! When Lu Mu Yen arrived, Lu Zhantian and the others were leading the army to charge towards the southeast again and again. It was just that the combat power of the Palyuo Kingdom was stronger than Yanzhou Kingdom to begin with, plus the participation of the army of demonic beasts from the Chong Kingdom, so based on number alone, there was 10 times more. Not to mention that the sword masters of their opponents were generally more powerful than them. Therefore, the waves of soldiers who charged up were all either eaten by demonic beasts or killed by enemy sword masters in only a short amount of time, and it was difficult to even open a gap and rush out. Owner, should we go? Seeing such arrogance in the tier 2 and 3 demonic beasts below, Bing Ji huffed coldly. These little grasshoppers sure are jumping too hard. You can all go. I want all the enemy troops from the 2 kingdoms to disappear in 2 hours. Lu Mu Yen nodded and instructed. The preparations that the other party had planned for a decade were indeed too sufficient, and it wasn't something that the reactive Yanzhou Kingdom could compare to. Even if her grandfather was a god of war, but in the face of absolute strength, strategy had become secondary. She clenched her hands into fists, took a breath and closed her eyes. If she was still in the competition space, or if she didn't come in time, then what would be in front of her in the future? Would it be the corpses of her family in the Lu clan? No, it couldn't be like that. Yanzhou Kingdom right now could not only not become the Lu clan's protective umbrella, but actually needed the Lu clan's best protection. She needed to establish a powerful force so that no one dared to trample on the Lu clan from here onwards on Tianling continent. Roar roar! There were several cries in the sky with the pressure of royal demonic beasts. The demonic beasts under the control of the Chong clan were all filled with horror and all trembled on the ground. This was the pressure of differing cultivation bases and the royal race's bloodline. Chapter 335. Support from various kingdoms. Bing Ji spread his wings and flew down. As soon as he landed on the top of the city wall, icicles flew out from his wings one after the other. Hundreds of flying-type demonic beasts from the enemy kingdom didn't even have time to react, and they were all frozen to death along with the swordmasters on them. Golden seeds fell one by one and golden vines with thorns grew everywhere in an instant. The swordmasters and demonic beasts besieging from three sides were all entangled by the vines, and it didn't take long for their blood essence to be sucked dry. They couldn't be any more dead. Miao Miao and Mo Yen watched Xue Xue and Bing Ji without acting. Those two were indeed suitable for group battles. An hour later, all the enemy troops except for a few leaders were wiped out by Xue Xue and Bing Ji. Lu Mu Yan's spirit pets are actually this powerful. The Right King Luo looked at the two demonic beasts who had swept the battlefield clean in disbelief. The army dispatched this time were all swordmasters under his command, but he didn't expect the result to be a complete annihilation like left King Luo. A woman wearing a veil with a bell hanging from her hands and feet spurted a mouthful of blood beside him, and the white veil was instantly stained red with blood. There was a glint of grimness in her eyes, and she released a Tier 6 flying demonic beast that she had contracted, grabbed the Right King Luo and two others to flee into the distance. Holy daughter, we're just going to escape like this? The Right King Luo asked in embarrassment. The woman changed her veil and snorted coldly. If we don't escape, then do you want to wait to die? Didn't you see that Lu Mu Yan's Ice Luan divine beast is a Tier 8 demonic beast? What Tier 8? The Right King Luo's eyes widened. Impossible! I can feel that his aura is the same as that of the human-eating bloodthorn vine king, both Tier 7. He hid his aura. The woman took out a pill and ate it. The Right King Luo was shocked. Then what should we do? If it's really a Tier 8 Ice Luan, then with just one of her spirit pets, she can crush us. You go back and quickly report this to the national teacher of Paoluo. Let him take control of the Tier 8 Ice Luan, and kill Lu Mu Yen as originally planned. The holy daughter of the Chong Kingdom sure had never suffered such a loss. All the demonic beasts she controlled were killed, and she was also backlashed, suffering severe internal injuries. This debt would definitely be settled with Lu Mu Yen in the future. Lu Mu Yen didn't ask Bing Ji to hunt down the few people. She waited for the mastermind behind the scenes to surface. Only after resolving the hidden danger could she rest assured when she left for the sect. Originally, the army was about to be crushed on three sides, yet who knew that Lu Mu Yen would kill the enemies with only her own power? This made the generals and soldiers of Yanzhou Kingdom admit that she was truly too strong after surviving this disaster. The news that she had cut off the left King Luo's head and hung it on the city wall lifted the morals of the army. At this time, her feat of destroying the entire army made the soldiers of Yanzhou Kingdom admire her extremely. Grandpa, Dad, eldest uncle. With a flash, Lu Mu Yen landed beside them and addressed. Good. My family's yener actually grew to this point. I'm very relieved. Lu Zhantian couldn't resist laughing and he simply couldn't express the shock and joy in his heart. A soft smile appeared on Lu Mo's gentle face. It's all thanks to yener today. Otherwise we would face the consequence of the annihilation of the entire army. Dad, Mou, let's go back to the city and talk to yener. Lu Mo Zhou, who was beside them, also breathed a sigh of relief. Yes. The whole army will return to the city to prepare for battle. After returning to the city, Lu Mu Yen, Lu Zhantian and the others discussed their strategies against the enemies after catching up with each other. Then she began to set up a teleportation array. The next day, Lu Zhantian received news that the 5 kingdoms around Yanzhou were actually persuaded by the national teacher of Paoluo Kingdom to form an alliance to fight against Yanzhou Kingdom. On the third day, the 7 Nations Alliance was formed and the army pressed in from all directions. At the same time, 6 sword sovereigns and 20 sword monarch powerhouses were sent to assist on the battlefield. But although the opponent was an army formed from the 7 Kingdoms Alliance, with large numbers of troops, but when the soldiers approached, more than 1/3 were trapped and killed by the array Lu Mu Yen arranged, making the superiors of the Seven Kingdoms angry and terrified. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. In the end, the national teacher of Poluo Kingdom led a team of mysterious men in black to handle the battlefield. On this day, Lu Mu Yen received an invitation to battle from the national teacher of Poluo Kingdom. Yenner, could this be a scheme? Lu Mu asked cautiously. Those people had tried to assassinate his children numerous times. Although this time it looked like an open battle, but who knew if the other party would use any despicable means? Lu Mu Yen played with the battle invitation and smiled. It doesn't matter anymore. Since he sent himself to my door, for what reason should I not go? She didn't have much time to remain in this secular world and needed to end the war as soon as possible. Yenner, according to your opinion, should we accept this battle invitation? Lu Zhantian asked after thinking for a bit. Of course. Grandpa, and everyone, don't worry, I have my own plans. Seeing the confidence on Lu Mu Yan's face, Lu Zhantian and the others could only cut off all means of retreat and fight to the end. Otherwise, if the Seven Kingdoms Alliance won this battle, Yanzhou wouldn't be far from being destroyed. The next day, Lu Mu Yen went out of the city with the people who were to fight. The leader of the other party was a young man in black. Lu Mu Yen, I didn't expect that although you're young, you would be so courageous. The leading man in black could only be regarded as delicate in appearance, with even a hint of femininity. His voice was low and hoarse, which sounded very contradictory with his appearance. Lu Mu Yen chuckled with a bit of ridicule on her face. If you want to fight, then fight, why are you rambling on? Humph, what a big tone. Today, I'll let you experience that there's always a mountain beyond a mountain and people beyond other people. The man in black snorted coldly and waved to the people behind him. The sword sovereign and sword monarchs behind him leapt to the center and looked at Lu Mu Yen and the others provocatively. Lu Mu Bai and the others behind Lu Mu Yen flew out in unison and soon the two sides fought. The man in black teleported behind Lu Mu Yen, stretched out an extremely pale hand, wanting to penetrate her chest directly. A faint orange light appeared on Lu Mu Yan's body, and she didn't dodge it. As soon as his hand touched the orange light, a black mist rose. Devil Cultivator. Lu Mu Yen took a step back and narrowed her eyes. Kiki. I didn't expect you to be able to know my secret in just a single round of battle at such a young age. I can't leave you alive today. The man's expression changed, and a layer of black aura rose from him. The monarch of Poluo Kingdom and the other Seven Kingdoms monarchs were also watching the battle not far away. When they saw that the national teacher was shrouded in a cloud of black mist, they were stunned, but they didn't think much about it. As long as they could win, it didn't matter what methods the national teacher cultivated. Do you think we'll win this time? The monarch of Poluo Kingdom asked with a grim expression. His heart was beating suddenly, and he just felt that something bad would happen. The clan leader of the Chong Kingdom had a hint of disdain in his eyes. If we all lose even in such a situation, then there's no need to return. The several other people also smiled and catered to them. For this battle, they mobilized the elites of their kingdom. Even if Lu Mu Yan's group fought well, they were still sure to win. Just as the several people pledged in all sincerity to begin discussing how to divide up Yanzhou Kingdom, sudden urgent reports came one after another. Report, all the elites in ambush in the east were annihilated by reinforcements from Rongzi Kingdom. Report, all the elites in ambush in the west were annihilated by reinforcements from the Yi clan and Ling clan. Report, all the elites in ambush in the north. Battle reports kept coming and the expressions of the Seven Kingdoms monarchs were only terror and helplessness in addition to turning pale with fright. They no longer had the confidence and assurance they had before. How is this possible? The clan leader of the Chong clan picked up the battle report, trembling, and looked at it again and again. How come there are so many elites from the superpower kingdoms to support a small kingdom like Yanzhou? Chapter 336. Annexation of the Seven Kingdoms. After the monarchs of the Seven Kingdoms heard that all the elite troops they had arranged in the north, south, east and west were all wiped out by Yanzhou reinforcements from superpower kingdoms, their hearts were as if it were cut by a knife, and they couldn't help trembling. All their eyes turned to the national teacher of Poluo and Lu Mu Yen who were fighting in mid-air. When they heard Yan Jun, Luo Li and such names, they immediately knew that these reinforcements were called by Lu Mu Yen and had nothing to do with Yanzhou Kingdom. When the national teacher killed her, they might still have room to turn the situation around. After all, there was no need for the proud children of heaven from superpower kingdoms to intervene in the wars of several small kingdoms. Lu Mu Yen and the black-clothed man fought together. Yet who knew that after only a few dozen rounds, the black-clothed man turned his head and fled towards the woods in the north. Lu Mu Yen narrowed her eyes, knowing there was a trap, but still chased after him. Today, all the rats in the gutter must be removed, otherwise she would be too worried about the Lu clan after going to the sect. As soon as she entered the forest, the whole scenery suddenly changed. A gorgeous woman in white stood on a high mountain, the gentle wind brushed past her cheeks, her long black hair fluttered with the breeze, and she was filled with youth. Immediately, she took out her long sword and danced on the top of the mountain. Not long after, a white-haired elderly man suddenly appeared on the top of the mountain, watching her dance with her sword with a gentle, loving expression. Lu Mu Yan's pupils constricted, and there was a sense of sadness and desolation in her heart. The white-clothed woman in the scene was precisely her in her previous life, and the elderly man with white hair was the master who took care of her for numerous years and whom passed down his legacy to her. And as she was immersed in the painting of the scene, 8 men in black suddenly appeared in the surrounding woods quietly. They held a piece of black jade each and embedded it into the ground. Then the national teacher flashed out, spat out blood essence on a black jade, and buried it in the ground as well. In an instant thick black mist emerged from the entire mountain forest and the black jades in the ground formed a 9-palace force. The pendant on Lu Mu Yan's neck moved, and the soul shrouded in black mist stood up. Lu Mu Yan, they arranged a 9-palace killing array, but you still have time to leisurely play the game of cat-catch-mouse? His voice came out leisurely. A sneer rose on Lu Mu Yan's lips and her originally dull eyes grew very clear. I originally wanted to spend more time playing with them, but now that you've said it, I've lost interest. As soon as she stepped into this place, she discovered it was an illusion array. She was indeed touched as she watched her past self and her master, but she immediately curbed her emotions. She just wanted to see what the so-called national teacher would do. They added a strong devilish energy to this formation. Aren't you afraid you'll be demonized? Lu Mu Yen smiled indifferently. With just this incomplete 9-palace killing array and they want to demonize me? I don't know if you think too highly of them or too little of me. Let's hear the purpose of your sudden appearance. She didn't believe that this sinister and cunning man would come out and speak at this time. That devil cultivator is a huge supplement for me. I want him. The man didn't hide it either, and went straight to the point. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow. Why? What will you exchange for it? Don't forget, they're currently my prey. The man gritted his teeth. This cunning woman. After a moment of silence he said, You can raise a condition. As long as the souls of these 9 people were devoured and refined, his unstable soul could be condensed. I want to know your true details. Lu Mu Yan's tone was sharp. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks towards this devil cultivator ghost of an unknown origin, she still planned to investigate his details properly before deciding how to cooperate with him. After all, this was an unstable factor that could explode at any time. The other party was silent for a bit. All right. If Lu Mu Yen was a person worthy of continual cooperation, then it didn't matter if he revealed his true identity. After all, he didn't feel any disgust for devil cultivators from her. What he maintained right now was the main soul of the 3 souls, and the 7 spirits were also in the original Boda Soul 1, but to find and fuse the other 2 souls, he still needed the help of Lu Mu Yan's external force. But you must swear by your heart demon before you explain. Lu Mu Yen emphasized. The corner of the man's lips twitched. He just knew that this woman wasn't that easy to fool and said angrily, All right. Can I swallow them now? Lu Mu Yen nodded this time. Go. As soon as she finished speaking, she saw a black smoke come out of the pendant around her neck, and when it swept across, not only was the demonic aura within the 9-palace killing array completely absorbed, it even swept away the 9 people who couldn't escape in time into the black fog. The devilish energy in the array disappeared, but the array still remained. As a great array master, Lu Mu Yen found the flaw of the array at only a glance. As soon as her golden sword appeared, the array was broken. Then the black mist turned into a puff of black smoke and entered the pendant. Lu Mu Yen thought a bit, then said, When you refine it, include their memories. I want to know why they attacked Yanzhou Kingdom. The national teacher's cultivation base was already at Sword Sovereign, and he was a devil cultivator that most sword masters on Tianling continent wanted dead. He mustn't have instigated the 7 kingdoms to attack Yanzhou Kingdom for reasons such as dominating secular kingdoms. Maybe there was something in Yanzhou Kingdom they must occupy. All right. After Lu Mu Yen broke the array, she returned to the battlefield. At this time, Luo Li and the others had already captured the fleeing Seven Kingdoms monarchs alive. Mu Yen. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that she had returned safely. Lu Mu Yen thanked Luo Li, Yan Jun, Helian Lai, Ji Xian, Yi Qing Han, and Mo Ling with a warm expression. After the war, she only asked Sinan to help, but didn't tell these several people. They all came to help the war consciously after receiving the news that Yanzhou Kingdom had been invaded. And the reason why Luo Li and the others came so quickly was also because of the teleportation array she had arranged. In addition, because of their support and the backing of the superpower kingdoms, the war quickly ended. The surrounding Seven Kingdoms alliance was not only completely disbanded, but also taken over by Yanzhou Kingdom, and they consciously delivered themselves to be annexed by Yanzhou and expand its strength. Because of the interference of the several superpower kingdoms, the other small and medium-sized kingdoms didn't dare to object at all. They didn't want to follow in the footsteps of the Seven Kingdoms. Most importantly, there was a Lu Mu Yen in Yanzhou Kingdom who had a good relationship with the imperial families of superpower kingdoms or with elite pupils heavily prized by distinguished clans. They didn't dare to have any more delusions. Instead, they silently prayed that Yanzhou Kingdom better not have ideas for them, so they sent messengers to congratulate. Of course, this was all what happened later. The fact that Luo Li and the others came to support the war also made many people who belittled Lu Mu Yen put out their arrogance, and she also successfully entered the attention of several major forces. As soon as the war was over, Luo Li and the others left without delay. After all, it was almost time to enter their sects and they still needed to go back and prepare. Lu Mu Yen also didn't say many words of gratitude. She always liked to keep favors or grudges in her heart, repaying those that should be repaid and kill those that should be killed. Before they left, she stuffed each of them many grade 3 pills as repayment, and Luo Li and the others also didn't refuse. Although they didn't think about wanting her to repay them when they came, but they wouldn't give up her kindness either. Not to mention, the pills she gave them were indeed treasures that they couldn't buy even with spiritual stones. So in Taoism or Taoism, what I've been translating as the path of the great path but realized maybe I could have just stuck with Taoism but whatever. It is believed the soul is made up of 3 main souls and 7 spirits, the 3 Hun and 7 Pa, which make up the Hun Pa, also translated as soul. Won't go into detail but you can search it up for more info. Chapter 337. The clan's strengthening plan. Before leaving as soon as the war on the frontier ended, Lu Mu Yen followed Lu Zhantian and the others back to the imperial capital. After her return, she was also warmly welcomed by the citizens of the imperial capital, and many younger swordmasters took her as their role model and object of worship. Many ordinary people who were innately unable to cultivate were also inspired by her deeds, and they were seeking various ways to become powerhouses and numerous attempts. Yanzhou Kingdom began waves after waves of cultivation frenzy. After returning to the Lu clan, Lu Mu Yen locked herself in the secret room. No one knew what she was doing, and she only came out when the days FO the sect to come to pick her up were arriving. On this day, she called Lu Zhantian, Lu Mou and her 2 elder brothers to talk in the secret room. Her first paternal uncle and second paternal uncle's family were still at the frontier to deal with the aftermath of the battlefield and they hadn't returned yet. Yenner, do you have something to tell us? Lu Mou asked with a gentle smile. With a thought from Lu Mu Yen, white porcelain vases filled the table. I do have something to tell you all. These are grade 2 and grade 3 pills I refined in the last month. Among them, there are pills that are long been extinct on Tianling continent, but female swordmasters would definitely be moved by them. What kind of pills are specifically aimed at female swordmasters? Could it be those that can increase their beauty? Lu Mu Tong's mind was more flexible, and as soon as Lu Mu Yen said it, he reacted. Lu Mu Yen picked up a bottle of pill, and poured one into the palm of her hand. The crystal white pill wasn't only full and attractive, but also exuded an elegant pill fragrance. This is called the beauty-enhancing pill. Long-term use can not only improve one's beauty and appearance, but also make swordmasters who take the pill gradually look younger. But it needs to be taken long-term to be effective and to maintain. The several people revealed shock in their eyes. Although this pill needed to be taken long-term, but it definitely would attract the madness of those female swordmasters who loved beauty. After all, in this world, there were few people who didn't like beauty. Even many men would be tempted. What are you refining these pills for? Do you want to sell them? Lu Mou asked, tapping on the table. Now that the Yanzhou kingdom has opened up its territory and has become a large second-rank kingdom in the eastern region, the Lu clan is bound to rise with the tide, and it would be a waste not to use this advantage to establish our own power. In addition to the beauty-enhancing pill, the pills I've refined also include those for progressing one's cultivation base, treating injuries, and those for nourishing the meridians and more. Our Lu clan can open a pill shop, specializing in selling these rare pills on the market. At the time, not only will we be able to accumulate funds for cultivating forces, but we can also expand the interpersonal networks for the Lu clan. Lu Mu Yen said with a smile. Lu Zhantian rubbed his gray beard and asked, "But when these pills sell out, what will we do?" "These pills are sold in a limited quantity and time. It should be able to sell for a period of time. When it's almost sold out, I'll refine a batch of high-level pills and send Bingji to the Lu clan to continue selling. As for the grade 1 and 2 pills, I won't refine them. We can slowly recruit a few grade 2 or 3 alchemists to be the Lu clan's guests." Lu Mu Yen explained. After she goes to the sect, it would be impossible for her to return to the Lu clan often, but she had Bingji, this flying spirit pet, so she could solve the problem of a lack of pills. But grade 2 and grade 3 alchemists on Tianling continent are extremely proud. We can invite a few guests with high prices and great resources, but they will definitely not be willing to refine so many pills for sale. Lu Mou thought about it and said what he considered improper. "We can leave this to second brother. I believe that he can definitely be able to dig up guests who's loyal to the Lu clan, but won't steal or shirk work and responsibility." Lu Mu Yen smiled and blinked at Lu Mu Ting. "And if those guests are willing to make pills for the Lu clan, I will also give some grade 3 pills as rewards, and I won't treat them badly in terms of resources. I believe that there will definitely be alchemists who will take the initiative to send themselves to our door." Lu Mu Ting rolled his eyes at her and his eyes were filled with pampering. "Don't worry, leave the matter of recruiting alchemists for the Lu clan to me. It's said that the ordinary man is innocent, but they are guilty if they hold a precious stone one. If we open a pill shop, will it attract the attention and coveting of some major forces? After all, the overall strength of our Lu clan is still too weak." Lu Mou saw it more deeply. Although he was very optimistic about this idea from his daughter, but he was afraid that the pill shop would also bring disaster to the Lu clan. He wasn't afraid to bear the calamity, but he was afraid that the entire clan would be implicated at that time, and if that occurred, they'd be sinners. "Don't worry, Daddy, I've already resolved that." Lu Mu Yen gave them a reassuring look. Half a month ago, she had already sent news to Ming Xiao. By that time, she would just pull out the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, that big Buddha too, to be the banner 3 of the Lu clan. After all, with her and Ming Xiao's current relationship, there wasn't a need to be polite. Moreover, she didn't hold the banner in vain. When the time came, they would give 20% of the share from the pills to the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. Yesterday, Ming Xiao sent back news and agreed to this matter, but only wanted 10% of the profit. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, how did you resolve it? Lu Zhantian and the others were very curious. Lu Mu Yen chuckled cheekily and said, "I pulled the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance into the water with us, so we can use their name in the future to open the shop, and I'll give them 10% of the profit as pay." Lu Mou and the others were surprised when they heard her say this. Then they all revealed joy. If the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance joined, then they believed that even the top forces of the continent would have to weigh their plans for the Lu clan first. After they agreed, both the two in charge of the Lu clan agreed to Lu Mu Yan's proposal to open a pill shop to build a powerful force for the Lu clan. Lu Mu Yan, this junior, thought all for the sake of the Lu clan, so how could they, as seniors, hold her back? They must create a strong maternal family for her. Seeing that their family was getting more and more excited, Lu Mu Ting took the opportunity to put forward his plan. "Grandpa, Dad, I want to go out to train a bit and form a mercenary party along the way." "What? Form a mercenary party?" Lu Zhantian furrowed his brows. Mercenaries were a very dangerous profession on this continent. Of course, among the top forces in the continent, aside from the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, the Pill Tower and the Smithing Pavilion, the Mercenary Union were also a top force on this continent. "Yes. I don't like to be restrained, but I also want to create my own world. After thinking about it, being a mercenary party leader is more suitable for me." Lu Mu Ting shrugged. He used to be lazy on cultivating, but after this war, he saw the efforts of his elder brother and little sister that they exerted to protect the Lu clan. His precious little sister had grown up so fast, so how could he fall far behind? He also hoped that in the future, he could hold up a portion of the sky for his little sister that he pampered in his palm. Even if she didn't need anyone to take her beneath their wings, he would still firmly protect her and guard the Lu clan. I support second big brother's proposal. Lu Mu Yen agreed after pondering. She and Lu Mu Bei's talents were excellent, and Lu Mu Ting, who was her twin, was also not to be outdone. It was just that he usually neglected cultivating, and also deliberately sealed half of his meridians, so his cultivation speed wasn't as fast as them. Now that his fighting spirit was aroused, she found that part of the meridians he had sealed had already been released, which also reflected his determination. For her second big brother to be able to have such consciousness and thoughts, she definitely supported it. As expected, it's my little sister who knows me well. Seeing that the look in Lu Mu Yan's eyes changed several times, as an elder brother who understood her tacitly, Lu Mu Ting also guessed her thoughts. Lu Mu Yen smiled and threw an interspatial ring to Lu Mu Ting and said generously, as if loaded, "It contains all my belongings. Big brother can use it to recruit mercenaries." When there weren't any more spiritual stones, she could go earn it, but there was only one dragon, Phoenix for Big Brother. "But I have one request." "What request?" Lu Mu Ting held the interspatial ring in his hand tightly and felt warm in his heart. "If you want to build, then you must build the best mercenary party. I hope that the mercenary party formed by Big Brother will become the #1 mercenary party on Tianling continent." Lu Mu Yen looked at Lu Mu Ting firmly with trust in her eyes. For the first time, Lu Mu Ting felt that his blood was boiling. So it turned out that he would be so open and excited after having something to pursue. Seeing that the brother and sister had already spoken to this point, Lu Zhantian and the others also expressed their support. The family talked once more about their future visions and ambitions, and also made a detailed plan to open their pill store. 3 days later, the elder of the 8 Extremes sect arrived at Yenzhou Kingdom, and Lu Mu Yen also set foot on her journey in a sect. One is saying that basically means you can be the most ordinary innocent man, but the moment you possess a precious jade, expect to be pursued and even killed simply because of that jade. 2 Big Buddha just colloquially means someone powerful. 3 To hold someone as their banner means, usually, to use their Ming alliances, powerful name, fame etc. to someone else's, Lu clans, advantage and let people know they have the backing of someone to be feared. 4 It just means twins. Specifically 1 female 1 male. Chinese likes to be fancy XD and I like to translate as many things as directly as possible. Chapter 338. First arrival at the sect. The welcoming elder of the 8 Extremes sect this time wasn't Ao Rong, but a handsome middle-aged man. Along with him were 2 inner pupils, one of whom was the ordinary-looking senior brother from the competition space. After they arrived in Yenzhou Kingdom, they didn't accept Yun Tianchen's invitation to go to the palace. After staying at the Lu clan for a night, they left the Imperial capital with Lu Mu Yen the next day. The 8 Extremes sect was a sect that was famous on the continent for its smithing and arrays, so this time, the elder was riding a middle-quality Saint tool, which also had defensive functions and was no worse than the Sumeru light boat Lu Mu Yen owned. Along the way, the elder and 2 senior brothers only verified their identities per usual, and the 4 of them were teleported to other kingdoms to pick up others. When everyone was picked up, the leading elder took them back to the sect on his magic tool. Among the more than a dozen people who were picked up, 3 maintained the same indifferent attitude, while some revealed irritability from time to time, and were more and more unusually respectful to the 3 of them. Only Lu Mu Yen, Ling Fei Yang, Yen Jun, and Mo Ling maintained their calm demeanor from the very beginning of the reception to now. Because of the influence of the 3 messengers who picked them up, the atmosphere on the ship was very depressing, and practically no one spoke. Therefore, Lu Mu Yen and her group cultivated in their own rooms and didn't gather to chat. On the 11th day of their journey back to the sect, the elder called the more than a dozen people to a room in the boat's warehouse for tea, and many people revealed flattered expressions. "Lu girl, I heard that you're already a grade 3 array master?" Elder 1, who was sitting in the main seat, looked at Lu Mu Yen with a light smile and asked. Lu Mu Yen stroked the tea with the cover in her hand, looked up and replied without changing expressions. "Junior is indeed a grade 3 array master. Not bad. Such an achievement at such a young age will surely mean great achievements in the future." Elder 1 praised her with a smile. At this time, the 7 or 8 people who were also selected into the sect in the competition space began to feel sour and all secretly thought that if Lu Mu Yen didn't choose the same sect as them, then would the light of the new pupils not be completely stolen by her? Thinking of this, Many people still leaked unkindness towards her. Many thanks to Elder One for the praise. Junior doesn't dare accept. Lu Mu Yen replied indifferently. This old fox was obviously drawing hatred for her. But she didn't remember when she offended him. You deserve this compliment. Elder One continued with a smile. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were stained with slight ridicule. She smiled faintly and stopped talking. Seeing that she was ignoring him, Elder One appeared to not care, and immediately turned the conversation to Mo Ling. Kid from the Mo clan, I heard that you were trapped by a grade 4 array when attempting to advance to the top 10. Although you delayed some time, but still escaped. I wonder if you have already advanced to grade 4 array master? This involves the privacy of this junior, so forgive Junior for having no comment. Mo Ling's temperament was still cold and proud, and he probably didn't even want to talk to Elder One, so he just closed his eyes and rested. Seeing him so arrogant, others frowned and disagreed. Only Lu Mu Yen and Yen Jun didn't care. Elder One wasn't angry, then immediately turned his attention to Yen Jun. Yen clan's boy, your Yen clan is a great smithing clan of Tianling continent. As the most valued descendant, your refining level isn't too low, is it? Are you at grade 4 yet? Senior is joking. Where does Junior have the ability to become a grade 4 smith? I can only touch the edge of grade 3 right now. A huge smile bloomed on Yen Jun's handsome face. He wasn't like Lu Mu Yen and Mo Ling who didn't bother to talk to Elder One, but instead dragged Elder One to talk nonsense. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. During this period, Elder One also asked a few random questions to everyone else, which seemed to be nothing, but just made Lu Mu Yen ponder deeply. The content of the conversation was basically small talk. Only after 3 hours did Elder One let the pupils present return to their rooms to rest. When they were gone, the ordinary-looking young man beside him suddenly said, "How is Elder's test to them?" Elder One glanced at him, then pouted, "I sure didn't want to test them. These monkey cubs are shrewder one after the other. I blame those old things in the sect for posing me this problem." When they set off, the strongest managing elder of the outer sect ordered the 3 to ignore them when they picked up the more than a dozen pupils, letting them hang cold for 10 days. Then to observe the expressions and reactions of the dozen or so people, mainly to examine the temperament of this group of pupils. Then did Elder gather anything from it? Gu Xiao, first tell me what you think of this group of students. Elder One asked instead of answering, looking at the young man with an ordinary face but very restrained temperament. Gu Xiao pondered for a while then said, "The talents in this group of pupils are all good, but in terms of character, I only think highly of Lu Mu Yen, Ling Fei Yang, Yen Jun, and Mo Ling. Although the 4 of them didn't have as high a cultivation base as him, but they always gave him a sense of incomprehension. Whether their attitude towards them was cold or warm, it didn't matter to the 4 of them. They didn't care at all. Yeah. I'm also more optimistic about the 4 of them." Elder One continued with a helpless look and said, "I sure was done dirty by those old things now. When I asked them questions before, Lu Mu Yan's impression of me wasn't good at all. Her plain gaze of ridicule earlier made him feel extremely awkward. It was all those damned old things who asked them to test their temperament and made them do things that offended people. Didn't you also dig a trap for Mo Ling and Yen Jun? It's just that they didn't jump." Gu Xiao smiled slightly. "I believe Lu Mu Yen can see that you didn't mean to target her." "True. Of course, I don't want to offend the pupil that even that old man Ao Rong considers important." Elder One sighed, his face filled with helplessness, but the interest in his eyes still revealed his bad tastes. Gu Xiao knew this frivolous elder's temperament. Now that he was eyeing Lu Mu Yen, he really didn't know whether it was her luck or her trouble. Half a month later, Elder One arrived at the 8 Extremes sect with a group of people. The 8 Extremes sect was built atop a big mountain with constant rain and snow all year round. From a distance, the light rain pattered, giving people a very hazy feeling. The high mountain stood in the clouds, making it impossible to see its true nature, like a shy girl wearing a veil, half hidden. Elder One took out the identity token and tossed it upwards. The token flew up and merged into the rain, and one just saw a transparent cover appear. Nothing could be seen inside. "Let's go." If you aren't pupils of this sect, then it's practically impossible to infiltrate the sect. Elder One said to the several people with a smile. The several people no longer hesitated to follow him through the light cover. Then the scenery changed. The surroundings weren't the scene of gentle rain like just now. As soon as they stepped into the light cover, They were teleported to the peak of a mountain. Gazing from the top of the mountain, one only saw more towering mountains surrounded by clouds, and huge rainbows hung over the mountain peaks. There were even numerous mysterious islands suspended in the air. Cranes and beautiful flying demonic beasts soared in groups, with gorgeous colors. It was as if entering a celestial land on Earth. There were many buildings on the farthest mountain, and if one looked closely, one could see many red-clothed pupils walking around. Not only were other people dazed by such a scene, even Lu Mu Yen couldn't help but be stunned. Chapter 339. Hostility. Seeing the shocked gazes on the pupils Elder One led in, the smile on his face grew even deeper. It was just that he discovered that Lu Mu Yen was only a little surprised and satisfied when she first saw the scenery of the sect. Then her eyes returned to calmness. Lu Mu Yen gave him a feeling that she was used to seeing a larger world, and he became more and more interested in her. As an inner sect elder, Ao Rong's insight was naturally the most experienced and vicious. It was the first time he had spoken so highly of a new pupil in so many years. Making them elders couldn't help but pay attention to Lu Mu Yen. This is the grounds of the sect of the 8 Extremes sect. You will live and cultivate here in the future. Are you satisfied? Elder One glanced at everyone and asked. Satisfied. I'll now take you to see the sect leader. He will arrange your whereabouts. Yes. Elder One rode the flying magic tool to take everyone to the farthest mountain, then walked to a majestic and simplistic hall. Elder One, the sect leader has been waiting for a long time. Take the new pupils to the council hall. A young pupil walked up to Elder One and said respectfully. Elder One nodded, and took Lu Mu Yen and the others around the hall to the council hall. Pushing the door to enter, one saw that there were already many people in the meeting room. A kind-faced elderly man sat on the main seat, and several elders sat below, including Ao Rong. In front of them were 10 young pupils dressed in red standing respectfully. Sect leader, the new pupils selected from the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony have been brought here. Elder One stepped forward and greeted the person above, then said to Lu Mu Yen and the others, "This one is our 8 Extreme sect leader Tan Yong Xia. Greet him first." Greetings to the sect leader. Lu Mu Yen and the others stepped forward and greeted him with a pupil's greeting. No need. Tan Yong Xia said with a gentle smile. The 8 Extreme sect welcomes you to join us. You are all elite pupils who have been selected through the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony. From today onwards, you will be directly promoted to core pupil of the outer sect, and all actions must be carried out in accordance with the sect rules. His voice came out slowly, with a kind of affinity, but his majesty remained undiminished. Pupils understand. Tan Yong Xia smiled and nodded, then introduced the elders sitting below to everyone and explained their positions in the sect. He explained kindly, pointing to the 10 people in front and said, Junior Brother One, they are the 10 people who were promoted to core pupils of the outer sect through the grand competition this time. You can take them with you and arrange them. Yes, sect leader. Elder One replied in a friendly way. Then the sect leader turned his gaze to Lu Mu Yen with a gentle expression. Little Lu girl, Elder Ao has already told me about your situation. What he has promised to you will be fulfilled one by one. Right now, there are still a few empty courtyards in the places with the most abundant spiritual force in the outer sect. You can follow Elder One to choose one. Thank you, sect leader. Lu Mu Yen replied with a smile. I'll go with them. Ao Rong stood up and said to the sect leader. Tan Yong Xia knew his temperament. Sure. Then they will be handed over to you and Junior Brother One. Ao Rong didn't say any more either. He took Elder One and led the 2 groups of outer sect core pupils out of the council hall. I'll now introduce you to the general situation of the sect first. When you receive the jade slip of the sect, ITLL contain detailed introductions of the 8 Extreme sect and our rules. Then Elder One introduced the 8 Extreme sect to Lu Mu Yen and the others endlessly, and took them to receive their identity jade tokens, clothes, interspatial rings, and things such as resources that could be enjoyed for the month for outer core pupils. Now we'll take you to the residence of the outer core pupils to register and assign a room. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, yes. Lu Mu Yen also learned from Elder Wen's previous introduction that the uniforms of the 6 major sects were all different colors from the other, and the 8 Extreme sect was red. The sect was divided into the inner sect and outer sect, and even among the inner sect and the outer sect, there was a distinction between ordinary pupils and core pupils. The outer sect even had an extra factotum pupil category. The core pupils of the outer sect resided in a place with more spiritual force than ordinary pupils. But they also lived in groups and were divided into different courtyards for each group. There would be a residence at intervals in the courtyard, which was assigned by the supervisor. The ordinary pupils of the inner sect could be assigned to live in independent courtyards, and the core pupils of the inner sect could go to the place where spiritual force of the sect was most abundant to open up a cave or build a residence of their own. It was all up to their abilities to obtain what courtyard they wanted to live in. After arranging the other people's residences, Elder One smiled and said to Lu Mu Yen, "The sect leader has ordered, Lu girl, you can choose an independent courtyard in the outer sect to reside in. Come with me now. I will trouble Elder One." "Elder One, this pupil has a question that requires clearing." A young man among the 10 stepped out calmly and greeted Elder One. His cultivation base was the highest among the 10, and he had become the main of the 10. Elder One narrowed his eyes as he smiled and said, "Ask. Why do we all live in a group courtyard as core pupils of the outer sect, but this junior sister can live in an independent courtyard with the most abundant spiritual force?" The man looked at Lu Mu Yen, and it was obvious that they weren't satisfied with this arrangement. Ever since the sect leader made separate arrangements for Lu Mu Yen, they had felt unhappy inwardly. This woman's cultivation base was way too incompetent. Who among the outer sect core pupils would still be at Sword Monarch cultivation base? Why make her special? And now they were even treated differently. Not only could she live in an individual courtyard, but she could also choose from the place with the most abundant spiritual force. How should they, who had stayed in the 8 Extremes sect for so many years and relied on their own efforts to be promoted from ordinary pupils to core pupils, feel? The privileges for Lu Mu Yen were approved by this old man. "If you have any questions, just come ask me." Ao Rong looked at the 10 people coldly. The 10 people suddenly felt a burst of invisible pressure all over them, and a chill along their backs. "Pupil does not dare." The man who spoke first toughened his head and said, "Humph." Ao Rong snorted coldly, then curbed his emotions and smiled amiably, saying to Lu Mu Yen, "Lu girl, let me take you to choose your courtyard." "All right. Thank you, Senior Ao." Lu Mu Yen nodded calmly. Ao Rong pulled Elder One aside to speak, and Lu Mu Yen glanced at the 10 people. At this time, the 10 people gave her even more unkind and hostile looks, and their jealousy was evident. She was too lazy to pay attention to their gazes. It was normal for such distinctions to cause public anger, but it was also what she exchanged with her strength, and she didn't think there was anything wrong with it. As long as these people didn't really offend her, then it was fine. If they dared to offend her, then she would let them know why she was entitled to such special treatment. After Ao Rong and Elder One finished talking, he didn't look at the others at all, and took Lu Mu Yen with him. After the two left, the 10 pupils of the 8 Extremes sect all revealed their unconvinced expressions on their faces. Inwardly, they all suspected that Lu Mu Yen had a connection with Elder Ao to have such special differentiated treatment, and they despised her inwardly. Elder One naturally saw their little thoughts and said with a half-smile, "If you aren't convinced with Lu Mu Yen, then you can just challenge her during the outer sex grand competition." He also wanted to see if Lu Mu Yen was worthy of Ao Rong's attention or not. Yes. After hearing Elder Wen's words, a strange light flashed across the eyes of the 10 people. Meanwhile, the sword masters who followed Lu Mu Yen here recalled the violent scenes when Lu Mu Yen fought with others and quietly cast gloating glances at all 10 of them. That woman wasn't one who someone should easily offend. Chapter 340. Low-profile Ao Rong took Lu Mu Yen to a large, secluded, and serene garden with courtyards built around the garden. This is the yard with the most spiritual force in the outer sect. You can choose one for yourself. Ao Rong reached out and pointed out 5 empty courtyards for her to choose from. Lu Mu Yen swept around roughly, then pointed to the deepest courtyard and said, "I want that one." That courtyard's spiritual force isn't as dense as the one on the left. Ao Rong suggested, "No need. I like quiet, and the innermost one is quite suitable." She chose the courtyard that was the longest way from the large garden, and there were no buildings around. She just liked the secluded and quiet ones. Ao Rong nodded indifferently. "Sure. I'll ask the supervisor to bring the array flag for this courtyard over." Each individual courtyard of the 8 Extremes sect was equipped with an array. Since it could prevent others from being disturbed when cultivating, it could also be used to gather spiritual force after it's activated. "Thank you, Senior." Lu Mu Yen thought a little then asked, "Senior, I see people living in the several other courtyards. Did they also come in specially? Ao Rong looked at her in amusement. Where are all these people who come in with special treatment? They're all your senior brothers and sisters. Among the core pupils of the outer sect, because they made the most contributions to the sect, so they're awarded with a separate courtyard. How do you obtain the sect's contribution points? Lu Mu Yen asked. The missions set by the sect, missions you accept, and the exchange of spiritual herbs, spiritual stones and other things can get you contribution points. Ao Rong paused, then said, the contribution points of the sect are very useful and you best earn as much as you can when you have time. After speaking, he took out a prepared copy of a jade slip and handed it to Lu Mu Yen. Here's a manual about exchanging contribution points in the sect. You'll understand after reading it once. Thank you, senior. Then this junior won't be polite. Lu Mu Yen quickly put the jade slip away. This was something useful to her. Do you have any plans for the recent days? Ao Rong then added, the new pupils who have entered the sect have half a year of free training time. Then you'll be divided into separate specialization schools. No plans. I'm going to spend this half a year to advance my cultivation base to Sword Sovereign. Lu Mu Yen said helplessly. The 10 sword masters who had just been promoted to core pupils were so hostile and dissatisfied precisely because they saw how low her cultivation base was. It seemed that she had to quickly advance to Sword Sovereign to gain a foothold in the sect. It wasn't that she was afraid of anyone. She was mainly afraid of trouble. Ao Rong said with a smile, you still have some self-knowledge on this point. The core pupils of the outer sect are at least initial phase Sword Sovereign, and the top 10 in the outer sect's contribution points ranking even has initial phase Sword Venerables, so you indeed need to pick up the pace in cultivation. There are even pupils at Sword Venerable in the outer sect? Then the core pupils of the inner sect must be Sword Saints? Lu Mu Yen asked in surprise. Ao Rong rolled his eyes at her. You say Sword Saint as if they're like cabbages. Even this old man is only a peak phase Sword Saint. Do you think those little brats can be higher than me? That's not necessarily true, senior. Haven't you heard that there are mountains beyond a mountain, and the rear waves of the Yangtze River drive on the waves before one? Lu Mu Yen pursed her lips, as if she believed that none of the inner pupils became Sword Saints. Cough cough. Ao Rong coughed lightly a few times, then laughed. The inner pupils who have advanced to Sword Saint cultivation base have all entered the sect's secret school or became elders. How could they still stay in the inner sect as core pupils? What's the sect's secret school? Lu Mu Yen caught the key words. Ao Rong hurriedly covered his mouth, then looked around and said in a whisper, this is not something that you can inquire and know about with your current cultivation base. I misspoke just now. Just pretend that you didn't hear it. I didn't hear anything just now. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes inwardly. This old thing definitely said it on purpose to arouse her interest. Humph. Ao Rong gave her a look as if to say, child, you are teachable. Little Lu girl is indeed really likable. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, such a clever and cunning girl really suited his appetite. But it was a pity that he knew he couldn't teach her, otherwise he really wanted to take her as a disciple. Senior. Is there anything else? Lu Mu Yen looked at him with a half-smile and asked. Ao Rong thought a bit, then said, you should keep a low profile when you haven't entered the inner sect to compete for a spot for the land of inheritance. When too many people notice you, I'm afraid they wouldn't be reconciled. If they're unreconciled, then I'll beat them till they're reconciled. Lu Mu Yen raised her fist, then smiled. Besides, I've always been low profile. If something happens, it's always the situation sending itself to my door. I usually don't take the initiative to start things. Don't worry. The corners of Ao Rong's lips twitched. This girl seemed to have a lot of things going on wherever she went. Did she think his eyes were getting old and blurry? However, it was true that most of the time, others provoked first. This girl just had a troublemaker constitution. All right, if you really can't keep a low profile, you can fight back. Either way, you don't have to endure your anger and swallow your voice. Ao Rong also knew that her temperament wouldn't allow her to tolerate things, and he also advocated the truth that a hard fist was the boss. You are someone that I, Ao Rong, tried hard to recruit, so don't lose my face. Don't worry, senior, I can lose anyone's face but lose yours. Lu Mu Yen responded with a smile. Ao Rong looked at the time in the sky, then said, then go cultivate well, you can come to me if you need anything. All right, then senior's kindness is accepted by junior. Lu Mu Yen knew Ao Rong was offering friendliness, and she was also happy to accept it. Aho Rong laughed a few times, then tossed a communication talisman to Lu Mu Yen and left the place as a stream of light. After a bit, the supervisor in charge here sent the courtyard's array flag to Lu Mu Yen, with a lukewarm attitude. Lu Mu Yen used the array flag to open the courtyard and discovered that the spiritual force inside was indeed abundant, and a satisfied expression rose on her face. She first refined a few batches of pills she needed herself and those the few demon pets liked to eat, then arranged a small spirit gathering array to deepen the density of spiritual force before she went into seclusion. This time, she didn't only want to break through to Sword's sovereign cultivation base, but she also wanted to break through to the core formation stage. Once her golden core was formed, even if she didn't use her spirit flame, with her elemental energy core flame, she could also refine grade 4 pills. Of course, as soon as her core formation stage was achieved, many talents and secret skills could also be used. Time passed little by little, and Lu Mu Yen successfully broke through to the Sword's sovereign cultivation base within 2 months. Because of an isolation-type array arranged, the unusual phenomena that appeared when advancing weren't spread. After advancing to Sword Sovereign, she took a worldly reduction pill and began to break through to the core formation stage. 3 months later, a glazed rainbow appeared in the yard, falling from the sky, then a serene fragrance filled a certain room in the courtyard. Lu Mu Yen opened her eyes, and her pupils were ethereal and clear. A smile appeared on her lips, finally arrived at the core formation stage. After reaching the core formation stage, she found that the aura of a powerhouse gradually spread out automatically. Because of the spiritual thunder body tempering, she currently only felt that her whole body was filled with explosive power. In the past half a year, the other pupils would often go out and wander around, and only Lu Mu Yen remained low profile as if she had evaporated from this world. This also surprised some of the sword masters who had summoned to the sect with her, who were originally preparing to watch her and the older pupils clash. They wondered just what she was doing. Inwardly, such a low-profile Lu Mu Yen was abnormal. And because of her low profile, the elders who paid attention to her at first gradually became less concerned. One day after the half a year, Lu Mu Yen received a communication talisman from the sect, and it was time for the new core pupils to choose their schools. The new/rear waves, new generation, will replace old waves, old generation, and also has the meaning of the new being better than the old. Rear, ho, also means after, so the after new generation. Chapter 341. Been plotted against. After receiving the voice transmission, Lu Mu Yen removed the array in the courtyard and flew towards the direction of the assembly hall on her sword. Sword masters who cultivated to Sword Sovereign could fly on their swords. The 8 Extremes sect not only occupied a large area, but there were also many undulating places interlaced between high mountains. Therefore, pupils of the sect were allowed to use swords or flying magic tools or spirit pets to fly. When she flew to the assembly hall, everyone had basically arrived, and many people looked at her with eyes of unfamiliarity and even hostility. "Yenner, come here." Ling Fei Yong grew very anxious when he saw that the gathering time drew closer and closer, and he was relieved when he saw Lu Mu Yen appear. Seeing Ling Fei Yong and the 2 others standing in a corner not far away, Lu Mu Yen immediately walked over. "Mu Yen, what have you been doing recently? We haven't seen you in the sect since we separated that time." Yen Jun asked with a smile on his face. Lu Mu Yen shrugged and said, "Well, don't I have to go advance my cultivation base? Otherwise, wouldn't it be impossible to get along around here? There should be no place where you won't be able to get along well." Yen Jun said with an angry smile. If Lu Mu Yen, this little devilish monster, couldn't even get along somewhere, then wouldn't they have long been eliminated? By the way, I don't seem to be familiar with the core pupils of the outer sect. But some people seem to be hostile to me. Do you know what's going on? Lu Mu Yen felt a few unkind gazes cast on her, and there was a flash of coldness in her eyes. Naturally, Yen Jun also noticed the unkind gazes and said helplessly, "The fact that you chose a courtyard with an abundance of spiritual force was spread out by scheming people, and even said you're a relative of Elder Ao to enjoy this privilege, so many arrogant people began to dislike you." Even they were actually very helpless. Although they and the other 10 people were new pupils, but their relationship was very tense. The fact that they could become a core pupil of the outer sect as soon as they arrived, those ordinary pupils that had to work hard to advance into a core pupil, or those who were still ordinary pupils, all saw them as unpleasing to the eyes. Of course, because each Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemony would have pupils entering the sect, so there were actually several small factions in the outer sect. It was just that there were relatively few people in their faction, but because their abilities were pretty good, so although there would be small inconveniences here and there between them when comparing, but none of it would be brought up onto an open stage. Lu Mu Yen twitched the corner of her lips. When did Ao Rong become her relative? The imagination of these people sure were too rich. Was this news spread from the other group of people who became core pupils with us? Lu Mu Yen asked with a definitive tone. That's right. Ling Fei Yong said with a smile when he saw that she didn't care much. They've made a lot of small moves in the past 6 months. Although they were all irrelevant, but you can't completely not guard against it. Except for 2 of the 10 people who were relatively independent, the other 8 all entered various different factions. The bosses of those factions were all the top several people on the contribution points ranking, and there were a lot of pupils gathered behind them, so their power was indeed not to be underestimated. Don't worry, elder cousin brother. I always believe that fists are the biggest. Lu Mu Yen smiled carefreely. Conspiracies and tricks were all in vain in the face of absolute strength. Not to mention that as long as they dared to offend her, she would beat them up until they're scared to see who dared to provoke her again. Of course, not all the old pupils disliked the new pupils, and only a very small portion liked to play tricks and little conspiracies. The overall cultivation atmosphere of the 8 Extremes sect was still quite good. Hearing her say that, there were smiles in the eyes of Ling Fei Yong and the others. In this world, strength was respected, and it was true that whoever had the biggest fists was the boss. Not long after, Elder One, who led Lu Mu Yen and the others to the sect, appeared in the hall and said with a smile, I will preside over your assignment of schools, and we will respect your choices as much as possible. Of course, because there are too many people who registered to join the smithing school and the array school, we will choose among people. Those who are not selected shouldn't be discouraged, as you still have the opportunity to choose other schools. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yen furrowed her brows when she heard the word registration. Do you need to register to join a school? The 3 looked at her in surprise and asked in unison. Don't tell me you didn't know? I really didn't know. Lu Mu Yen narrowed her eyes and turned her attention to a female swordmaster, who was currently looking at her arrogantly. This swordmaster was the one who was most hostile to her among the 10 people half a year ago. Now it seemed that this person wasn't just jealous, but there were even other reasons to frame her. But aren't the registrations written by the selected senior brothers who goes to ask about our personal wishes? Yen Jun furrowed his brows and asked, Has anyone else looked for you besides us in the past half a year? In the past half a year, Lu Mu Yen basically didn't go out because she was in seclusion to advance to the core formation stage. So even when Yen Jun and the others came to visit her, they were temporarily rejected. No. Though there was someone who walked around the gate of my courtyard a few days ago, only saying they wanted to visit. I declined at that time because I had things to do, but they didn't mention any news to have me register to choose a school. Lu Mu Yen sneered, I think I've been plotted against by someone. Then what should we do? It's very important to choose a good school in the sect. Ling Fei Yang's eyes were filled with worry. They took on a mission together and went out to train, and they were asked about the registration when they returned yesterday. They never thought that someone would take advantage of this to plot against Lu Mu Yen. No worries, it doesn't matter which school it is for me. Lu Mu Yen waved her hand indifferently. In fact, she didn't care which school she would be assigned to. Either way, those people would definitely not dare to not register her name, and at most, they'll put her in the worst school. Yenner, the difference between the schools are huge. This is directly linked to the cultivation resources obtained. Ling Fei Yong said with a sigh. Lu Mu Yen smiled lightly and said, I don't care about those resources allocated. If I don't have the resources then, I'll just get contribution points to exchange for things. The 3 were originally worried that she would be saddened or do something impulsive because of this incident. Yet who knew that she didn't even care at all? And judging from the good things she owned, she really didn't think highly of the resources that they received every month from the sect. It wasn't a bad idea to go get some contribution points to exchange for items too. By the way, which school did you all choose? Lu Mu Yen asked. I chose the smithing school. Ling Fei Yong replied. He was more interested in refining leather armor. Yen Jun said, I'm also the smithing school. As a descendant of a distinguished smithing clan, his strongest talent was in smithing, and he also came to the 8 Extremes sect for their smithing school. Array school. Mo Ling, who hadn't spoken since, said. He was born in a distinguished array master's clan, and he was also obsessed with the path of the arrays, so he naturally chose his favorite profession. I wonder which school you'll be arranged to? Yan Jun said. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow and asked, which school is the worst in the 8 Extremes sect? Talisman School. The three answered in unison. Then in all likelihood, I'll be going to the Talisman School. As if to confirm her words, as soon as she finished speaking, the first on the list of names for the Talisman School was her name. Chapter 342. Turn the tables. When Yan Jun and the two heard Lu Mu Yan's name, they all smiled bitterly. She really did guess right. Although Lu Mu Yan was plotted against by others, but once they chose a school, it couldn't be changed. They had no foundation in the 8 Extreme sect, so even if they made a big deal, they may not get the most just results. After all, they had no evidence. Unless they went to Elder Ao Rong, who could easily resolve this matter. But they all knew Lu Mu Yan's temperament. She wouldn't trouble Elder Ao for such trivial matters. Put away those helpless expressions of yours. Lu Mu Yan rolled her eyes at them. Even she wasn't anxious. What were they worried about? If she was chosen to go to some body cultivation school, taming school or the like, then she might go find a way to change it. But the other party helped her fill in the Talisman School as if they knew her intentions, so she naturally turned a blind eye to it. You probably don't know the situation of the Talisman School, right? Mo Ling asked meaningfully. Don't know. How about you three introduce it to me? Lu Mu Yen said with a smile. Yan Jun sighed. The process of refining talismans is very complicated, and the rate of material consumption is much faster than that of alchemists and smiths. So if you don't have the talent, and your pockets are too shy, then choosing the Talisman School is basically seeking death. Although there are high-level talisman masters in the 8 Extremes sect, but that was hundreds of years ago. The Talisman School is declining right now. Not only do they have the least resources distributed to them, but even the pupils within are mostly the least talented. Ling Fei Yang added. At each grand competition of the sect, the Talisman School is always the existence at the bottom. Mo Ling added a stab with a knife meanly. Lu Mu Yen nodded. Talisman masters was a profession with relatively few people even in the immortal cultivation world where their usage was higher. But rareness was the most precious thing. The smaller the number of people in a specialization, the more popular high-level talisman masters were, and they were fragrant buns to be snatched wherever they went. On this continent, refining talismans not only required the ability to comprehend at least two among the metal attribute, fire attribute and earth attribute, but a sword master must also be gifted in drawing runes, and only then could one become a talisman master. Of course, a sword master with all three attributes would be able to walk even further on this road. Moreover, a talisman master was a very consuming occupation. From the initial search for beast blood to the middle and latter stages of searching and purchasing spiritual herbs, spars, demonic beast fur and skin and the like, it was all a huge expense. Most importantly, even after spending money like running water, one may not even become a high-level talisman master. Grade 3 talisman masters and above all required high comprehension and innovation talent, so there were very few people who could persist in refining talismans. It's perfect. I wanted to choose the Talisman School to begin with. Since they helped me choose, I'll accept their kindness. Lu Mu Yen glanced at the proud female pupil lightly, then asked the several people, Do you know that woman? She must be the one who plotted against me this time. Ling Fei Yang followed her line of sight, and when he saw the woman, his eyes grew cold. She's Xue Linger's elder cousin sister. The two have a very good relationship. Since she deliberately played tricks on the registration list, she should have known your identity. Lu Mu Yen revealed an understanding expression. So she turned out to be Xue Linger's elder cousin sister. No wonder she was so hostile to her. In the competition space, Lu Mu Yen secretly helped Xue Linger all the way to pass obstacles, but when she was about to advance to the 100th place, she pranked her and made her one step behind finishing in the 100th place, which meant losing her qualifications to enter a sect. It was conceivable how unwilling and annoyed Xue Linger would have been to lose the qualification after being overtaken by the others in the end with only one step left. And because the fire dragon that Lu Mu Yen quietly inserted into Xue Linger's body slowly corroded her dantian, she became more and more powerless when cultivating after returning to the Xue clan. In addition, her dad brought back a very favored illegitimate daughter from outside, who was very strong in temperament and very talented, soon replacing her position as the unshakable #1 in the Xue clan. Now Xue Linger's status in the Xue clan had completely plummeted, and she even had to be humiliated and bullied by that little sister, so it was like falling from heaven to hell. Her heart became even more distorted, and she finally utterly hated Lu Mu Yen. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. So after hearing that Lu Mu Yen chose the 8 Extremes sect, she sent news to her elder cousin sister who she used to have a good relationship with. She exaggerated the rumors about how Lu Mu Yen was so hostile to the Shui clan, and would be a great danger to the Shui clan if she continued to develop. So that's why the pupil named Shui Laner was so hostile to Lu Mu Yen, and had been planning to get rid of her. Since the people of the Shui clan like to jump around so much, then I'll let her dance for a little while longer. I'll definitely repay her in the future. Lu Mu Yen was very disgusted by these kinds of small tricks, but she was also a little more vigilant. After all, many times, the important things were ruined by the unimportant people. She wouldn't belittle any enemy with evil intentions, but such a person was also not worthy of too much of her attention. They would all have to cultivate in the same sect in the future, so there would be more than enough times to repay her. She didn't like killing people with a single shot. How boring was that? It was fun to play slowly, right? There's no harm in taking more precautions against such small people in the future. Ling Fei Yong knew Lu Mu Yan's temperament, so he was still relieved. After the schools were divided up, the supervising pupils of each school gathered the people who had been divided up and brought them back. Yan Jun and the others didn't fail to be elected due to their excelling talents and abilities. They agreed with Lu Mu Yen on the next meeting time and left with the supervisor in a hurry. There were only 5 people who chose the talisman school, and 3 were even people who were eliminated from their choices of the other schools. The pupil that led them appeared around 30 years old. He was a little stern, but he was at least polite. After explaining a little, he led them to the talisman school. After only a few steps, Elder One walked over quickly. Elder One. The several people respectfully greeted him. Elder One saw that Lu Mu Yen was neither humble nor arrogant. He knew of the little tricks those people played, but he didn't intervene. He just wanted to see how she would handle this situation. The result didn't disappoint him. Lu Mu Yen wasn't angry nor frustrated just because she was assigned to the talisman school. Instead, she always maintained a sense of calmness, which made him appreciate it subconsciously. This little girl's heart was indeed different from ordinary people, and only such a person could go further on the heaven-defying path of cultivation. Little Lu girl, do you want to change schools? Elder One approached Lu Mu Yen and asked in a whisper. If Lu Mu Yen wanted to go to the array school, he would be able to help, and he also guessed that she would change schools. Although his voice was soft, but the several people standing next to them all heard it. Their eyes that looked at Lu Mu Yen couldn't help but change. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at Elder One. This old thing was just too bored, he was sick. Not interested. I like the talisman school. Then she blinked her eyes innocently at Elder One and asked, Elder One, what do you mean by this? Do you look down on our talisman school? I personally think that a talisman master is a promising career. The corner of Elder One's lips twitched. This girl turned the tables. Truly good. And what did she mean by our talisman school? She hadn't even stepped foot past the door of the talisman school and she was already this defensive of it? The leading pupil's gaze that was initially slightly disliking of Lu Mu Yen instantly softened, while the other few pupils and him looked at Elder One with some more scrutiny and dissatisfaction. Elder One had to admit, Lu Mu Yen was definitely a cunning little fox. Others may not know, but he was very clear that this serious-looking supervising pupil was the direct disciple of the talisman school's headmaster. He was a more upright person and took the talisman school very seriously. This time, little Lu girl had probably entered his eyes. Having the supervising pupil, who was in charge of the affairs of the talisman school, think someone to be pleasing, this Lu girl would definitely not have a hard time in the talisman school in the future after entering. Hee. Then you can stay in the talisman school and study well. Seeing that the supervising pupil cast a look of dislike towards him, Elder One laughed dryly and left quickly. If that old fellow in the talisman school knew that he came to dig over the student, then the wall of his school would definitely be torn down. Chapter 343. Talisman School's headmaster. The supervising pupil of the talisman school used a flying magic tool to bring the several people to the talisman school for a spin. My name is Ding Hao, and am the supervisor in charge of pupil affairs in the talisman school. You can come to me first if you have anything in the future you need. Ding Hao took out a few jade slips and handed them to the several people. This is the most basic knowledge for making talismans. You can take it back and have a read for yourself. Early tomorrow morning at dawn, You will all come to the talisman school to report, and I will take you to see the headmaster. Yes, senior brother. The several people took the jade slip and put it away. You can all go back now. Yes. After Lu Mu Yen and the others left, Ding Hao sent the roster of the new pupils to the place where the headmaster resided. Headmaster, this is the list of the new core pupils of the outer sect for our talisman school. Please take a look. Ding Hao respectfully handed over the list. A pair of fair hands took it and glanced at it, then asked in surprise, Lu Mu Yen registered for our talisman school? Yes. Giggle. The headmaster seated at the main seat couldn't help laughing. If the old thing of the array school knew that Lu Mu Yen chose our talisman school, he would probably vomit blood. Did Lu Mu Yen voluntarily choose our talisman school? The headmaster continued to ask. Ding Hao replied, I don't know the details, but I vaguely sense that she may have been plotted against to enter our talisman school. The person sitting on the main seat's brows furrowed and murmured, Wasn't voluntary? She should be voluntary. Ding Hao paused and said, When we were about to leave, Elder Wen once came to ask Lu Mu Yen if she wanted to be transferred to another school. Judging from his appearance, as long as Lu Mu Yen agreed, she would definitely be able to transfer to the array school. Then how did she answer? Ding Hao repeated the conversation between Lu Mu Yen and Elder Wen, then added, I noticed that Lu Mu Yan's eyes were clear and clean without any reluctance. It seems that there is still someone with foresight in this group of pupils. The headmaster tapped a finger on the table. Bring them to see me tomorrow. However, Elder Wen was noted down. That old thing dared to come dig their students. His skin was truly itching. Yes, master. At the array school, the supervising pupil also handed over the roster. The headmaster of the array school swept it casually, and smiled with satisfaction when seeing Yen Jun's name, but the smile froze after a while. Why isn't Lu Mu Yan's name on this list? The supervising pupil was surprised inwardly, then replied respectfully. Replying to headmaster, Lu Mu Yen chose the talisman school. Because of Xue Linger's intentional dissemination, the impression of Lu Mu Yen among the old pupils was a woman with a privileged relationship. Even if some people didn't care about it, but they didn't have much like for her. After the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony was over, the information of the new pupils was only known to the superiors of the sect. Many pupils didn't know that Lu Mu Yen was first place in the competition and was someone that Elder Ao Rong had to defeat several other sects to dig over. That's why they were misled by Xue Linger. What? Chose the talisman school? The headmaster of the array school slammed the table heavily. Why did she choose the talisman school? This pupil doesn't know. The supervisor replied cautiously. This was the first time he saw the headmaster get so angry like this. Could it be that the woman named Lu Mu Yen wasn't as bad as the rumors said? Otherwise, the headmaster wouldn't be so angry because she didn't choose his school. After a while, the headmaster of the array school sighed. Forget it, since she chose the talisman school, then let her be. But he pitied that such a good grade 3 array master was missed in vain, and a surge of anger rose in his heart. Go and find out why she chose the talisman school. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, yes. Most importantly, he didn't want to provoke that headmaster of the talisman school. If he was discovered that he went to dig their corner, then that person would definitely demolish his array school. At this time, his thoughts of wanting Lu Mu Yen also slowly faded, but he would definitely regret this matter in the future. In the alchemy school, the supervising pupil also presented the list. The headmaster of the alchemy school swept it over and asked, Which school did Lu Mu Yen go to? The supervising pupil didn't expect the headmaster to ask such a question. After thinking about the lists read out before, he replied, Lu Mu Yen chose the talisman school. When the headmaster of the alchemy school heard Lu Mu Yan's choice of school, there was a look of not knowing whether to laugh or cry on his face, but there was also slight gloating. That old thing from the array school was probably on fire. But he did feel a little pity. Otherwise, with Lu Mu Yan's dual fire and wood attribute at great achievement realm talent, she was most suitable to be an alchemist. If it were that she chose a different school, he would still be able to fight for her a bit, but as it was the talisman school, he could only take a step back. That person was the master of being the most difficult to handle. Such a scene occurred in many schools, and even the sect leader and Ao Rong was surprised after hearing Lu Mu Yan's choice. In their hearts, they also thought that Lu Mu Yen would choose the array school. Lu Mu Yen greeted the other people, then left the talisman school and returned to her residence. When she flew on her sword, she discovered that many people looked at her with unfriendly gazes. When she remembered Xue Laner's situation, an arc of ridicule rose on her lips. At this time, she wouldn't go clarify anything. An explanation that came from her mouth would be more likely to be thought of as a cover-up, and she didn't need those people to like her. People who were innocent would naturally be proven innocent. Reasonable people and people worthy of deep friendship wouldn't belittle her simply because of some rumors. The rumors stopped at the wise, and she could also use this incident to see who in the sect she could befriend. But she also wouldn't let Xue Laner continue to arrogantly slander her. As long as she found the right opportunity, she would reveal her strength, and the rumors would naturally fall apart. In a world where strength was respected, fists had the right to speak, and with strength, one could win others' respect and awe. The strength she revealed that didn't match the rumors would be the biggest counterattack against those who spread the rumors. If she made good use of it a little, then justice would stand on her side and Xue Laner would eat her own rotten fruit she raised. Her eyes were stained with a slight cunning smile. When that time came, she'd just watch how Xue Laner bore the anger of the headmasters of the several schools. The next morning, when she sky slowly brightening, Lu Mu Yen and the others were taken to a quiet courtyard by Ding Hao. In the courtyard, there was a woman with an enchanting figure who was dancing with her sword by a lotus pond. Her figure refreshing, handsome and valiant. The several people didn't bother her either. The woman slowly walked towards them after withdrawing her sword. Disciple pays respects to master. Ding Hao bowed to the person who came, then turned to Lu Mu Yen and the others and said, "This is the headmaster of our talisman school. Pupil pays respect to headmaster." The several people hurriedly greeted. "No need." The woman went straight to a chair and sat down as she said lightly, "All raise your heads and talk to me." Lu Mu Yen looked up and saw the person opposite clearly. With a face in her 20s, she was dressed in a flamboyant red dress that wrapped around her exquisite figure. She was gorgeous and beautiful, and could even be considered peerlessly stunning. The combination of her facial features and temperament gave one a sense of heroism and ease. Although she restrained her cultivation base, but Lu Mu Yen could conclude that she was a sword saint powerhouse. The several people never thought that the headmaster of the talisman school would be such a charming and stunning beauty. "My name is Hua Ling Long, and am the headmaster of your talisman school. I implement a policy of doing as you please here, and won't interfere with you too much. If you want to learn alchemy, arrays you can. Of course, you also must learn talismans well for me." Seeing two of them sigh with relief, her beautiful eyes revealed a sharpness. "I don't like pupils who cheat and play tricks. If you want to bear the attitude of just getting by, then Laonyang wants you to leave now." "Pupil dares not." "Very good. Ding Hao will tell you the rules and regulations of the talisman school one by one. Lu Mu Yen and Zi Che Shi will remain. The others can leave first." Chapter 344. The headmaster's pleasant surprise. The other three looked disappointed when they heard the headmaster's words. But they were different from Lu Mu Yen and Zi Che Shi. They chose other schools and were eliminated to the talisman school, so they didn't have the confidence to fight. Ding Hao knew that the headmaster wanted to talk to the two of them, so he saluted and left the courtyard with the other three. Hua Ling Long took a cup of tea and took a sip. With a smile on her bright face, she pointed to the lotus pond opposite and asked, "Know what that variety is?" Zi Che Shi followed her pointed finger and saw a layer of cold air over the lotus pond. The lotus flowers in the pond were all icy blue and the ice lotuses also had bright red dewdrops on them. Pupil doesn't know. He was interested in smithing and talismans, but he didn't know anything about spiritual herbs and alchemy. "Do you know, little girl?" The smile on Hua Ling Long's face remained and her gaze shifted to Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Yen smiled lightly and said, "This is an ice frost fire lotus. It can only bloom once in a century. The red dewdrops on the petals are the essence of this lotus, which is very useful for sword masters who cultivate the fire attribute." Since she arrived at the talisman school, then she didn't prepare to hide herself. This beauty headmaster gave her a very good impression. Indeed, little girl sure is well informed. Hua Ling Long's eyes revealed some admiration, guessing that the elders of the alchemy school must also be feeling pity at this time. However, since this treasure landed in her hands by mistake, she naturally couldn't have someone poach it away. "Zi Che Shi, can you comprehend the earth attribute elemental energy already?" Hua Ling Long asked. Zi Che Shi replied respectfully, "This pupil has already comprehended 3 types of elemental energy." "Very good. It's not in vain for that growth soil that I gave you. The smile on Hua Linglong's face was even greater. It had been a long time since there had been a 3-type talisman master. Lu Mu Yen had noticed Zi Che Shi yesterday and discovered that he wasn't one of the 10 ordinary pupils who were promoted to core pupils. He probably entered core pupil through other means. Although the aura exuding from him was only a middle-phase sword sovereign, but he was a 3-type sword master, and his future was immeasurable. Then, little girl? Hua Linglong asked with a smile. I heard that your fire and wood dual attributes are at great achievement, and your metal attribute comprehension has also reached the understanding realm. Is this true? Indeed. Lu Mu Yen nodded. Can you comprehend the earth elemental energy attribute then? Hua Linglong only just blurted out the words at will, then after asking, she lowered her head and chuckled, feeling that it was too much. Lu Mu Yen was silent for a moment, then said, I can. What? Hua Linglong raised her head fiercely to look at Lu Mu Yen with a bit of joy and sternness in her beautiful eyes. Do you know the consequences of deceiving me? Hearing Lu Mu Yan's words, even Zi Che Shi, who had always been calm and composed, revealed a look of disbelief. Lu Mu Yen didn't explain either. With a flip of her hand, she attacked with a palm wind towards a large stone in the distance. As soon as the palm wind from her palm landed, earth thorns condensed in the air, instantly stabbing the large stone into a hornet's nest. You can actually perceive the earth elemental attribute. Although you haven't reached the understanding realm, but this talent is too heaven-defying. Even Hua Linglong had to sigh at the grace of the heavens towards Lu Mu Yen. As long as 4 attribute sword masters don't go down the wrong path, any one of them who leapt out was a strong powerhouse who could shake a portion of this land. I'm very interested in refining talismans, and I also want to stay in the talisman school, so I didn't want to hide it from headmaster. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were clear, and her tone was sincere. Hua Linglong suppressed the excitement in her heart. She sure didn't expect that although the pupils of the array school plotted against Lu Mu Yen, but it brought such a big surprise for their talisman school. Good. Your choice is definitely correct. However, the matter of you being able to perceive 4 attribute elemental energy needs to be kept secret for the time being. After you explode in the future, well, blind those old things. The interest in Hua Linglong's eyes grew even denser. She was even looking forward to seeing the expressions of those old things change. The corners of Zi Che Shi's lips twitched. Originally, the headmaster of the talisman school was already one that didn't play her cards using logic, and now there's another Lu Mu Yen who he heard caused trouble very easily. The talisman school definitely wouldn't be so deserted in the future anymore. A meaningful smile gradually rose on his lips. It seemed that he didn't select incorrectly this time. The days in the future wouldn't be boring anymore. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yen narrowed her eyes, and her pupils were filled with cunning, then said cooperatively with Hua Linglong, when the time comes, well, let them know how powerful our talisman school is. Hua Linglong liked Lu Mu Yen even more when she heard the word we. Did you know that each school is actually divided into 2 parts? Hua Linglong asked. Zi Che Shi replied. This pupil knows. After all, he had stayed in the 8 Extremes sect for more than a decade, so he was still relatively familiar with the sect. This pupil doesn't. Lu Mu Yen blinked and said. In the past half a year, she basically didn't go out to inquire about any news due to advancing to the core formation stage, so she was really unfamiliar with the 8 Extremes sect except for the things introduced on the Jade Slip. Then I'll tell you. Hua Linglong took a sip of tea and continued. Each school is divided into an ordinary school and an elite school. The elite schools are actually all inner pupils. Each of us headmasters are in charge of both schools. There are already many grade 2 talisman masters in the elite school, and there are even 2 grade 3 talisman masters. The resources they enjoy are vastly different from yours, so you must both not only study hard, but also set the goal of gaining entry into the elite school. Then Hua Linglong looked at the 2 of them earnestly and said, I hope to see you 2 reporting to the elite school in 2 years' time. Pupil will work hard. The talisman school will have talisman masters come to lecture every 10 days. If you don't understand anything, you can ask them questions or come to me. Hua Linglong paused, then said, the same is true for other schools, and the elders will also teach at different times. If you are interested in other professions, you can also go listen to them. Pupil understands. Then you can both go and get acquainted with our talisman school first. I dare not say anything else, but the pupils of our talisman school are definitely the most united in the entire sect. Yes. Pupil will retire. Lu Mu Yen saluted Hua Ling Long, then turned to leave. Hua Ling Long, as if remembering something, suddenly shouted, "Little girl, I heard that you made a kind of pill called the beauty-enhancing pill?" Indeed. Lu Mu Yen turned around and took out 2 bottles of pills from her sleeve and handed them to Hua Ling Long with a smile. Headmaster is so peerlessly beautiful. In fact, even if you don't take the beauty-enhancing pill, you would still be beautiful and moving. But the beauty-enhancing pill also has the effects of solidifying one's foundation and nourishing one's elements for women's one body type. If Headmaster takes it long-term, not only will you become more bright and beautiful, but it will also help with practicing methods. Let these 2 bottles of pills be considered a meeting gift from pupil. Hua Ling Long raised the ice frost fire lotus to cultivate, and her body was obviously leaning towards the yin. If she took the beauty-enhancing pill, there would indeed be miraculous effects. Giggle, little girl sure has a sweet mouth. I really like you more and more. Hua Ling Long took the pills and put it away, then reached out and gently pinched Lu Mu Yan's tender and smooth face. Lu Mu Yan quickly avoided her devil's hand. This headmaster sure was too unpretentious, but she liked this character of hers. I won't let you suffer any losses either. This thing is useful to you, accept it. Hua Ling Long took out a wooden box and stuffed it to Lu Mu Yan, her eyes growing fonder of her. Lu Mu Yan also knew that the things the headmaster gifted wouldn't be bad, so she accepted it with a cheeky smile. Thank you, headmaster. Then Hua Ling Long smiled and looked at Zi Che Shi, saying openly, your meeting gift was already given last time, so this time it'll be waived. Pupil knows. Zi Che Shi looked at the 2 with amusement. All right, you can both retire now. Hua Ling Long waved her hand towards them, then took the pills and ran back to her room to research. Yin and yang, very popular terms. Yin, the black half, is usually used to represent females, and yang, the white half, males. Yin is also often considered cold and yang, warm, like moon and sun. Thanks for all the comments, guys. I read every single one of them, and hopefully I don't forget to like them XD. I just might not reply to them all. 2 updates will continue for a while as I have many saved chapters. Today only 1 because I left my USB at school and didn't retrieve it until now and not bothered uploading 2 anymore today, hahaha. Just an FYI, the number of chapters one upload is sometimes based on my mood and how organized I am, but there'll always be at least 1 chapter every day, and it will be scheduled at 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time / Australian Eastern Daylight Time, as long as I'm organized well. Extra chapters may be uploaded at 6 am Australian Eastern Standard Time / Australian Eastern Daylight Time as well, and if there are the rare 3 chapters, one will also be uploaded at 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time / Australian Eastern Standard Time. Who knows? Maybe I'll upload 4 chapters a day one day on a whim, haha. Anyways, enjoy. Chapter 345. Rank 3 Most Difficult Mission. Lu Mu Yen and Zi Che Shi left the yard together and went to find Ding Hao. On the way, Zi Che Shi said first, it seems that the rumors aren't credible. Junior sister Lu being able to choose an individual courtyard must be because of your own strength. Hearing is false. Seeing is believing. Senior brother didn't show any unkindness to me before, so you must also probably didn't fully believe the rumors. Lu Mu Yen replied with a light smile. She would live in the talisman school for a long time in the future, so she naturally should have a good relationship with his senior brother. The atmosphere of the 8 Extremes sect is relatively righteous, so things like you being a relative of Elder AO to enjoy privileges, as long as one is capable of discerning, they wouldn't believe it. From the first time Zi Che Shi met Lu Mu Yen, he discovered that the sect leader and the several elders all had an unusual attitude towards her. Only those who were blinded by jealousy would believe the rumors of so-called relatives. After chatting idly for a bit, the 2 met Ding Hao, who was introducing the other 3 people to the talisman school, and they also joined in. Ding Hao then took them to meet many old pupils in the talisman school. The pupils of the talisman school were relatively free, and they could usually move around wherever. They also had a very good relationship with each other, and the attitude of the old pupils when meeting the 5 could also be considered quite enthusiastic. When Lu Mu Yen returned to her courtyard, she discovered that there were not only not many resources available on her to use, but because she also gave all her spiritual stones to Lu Mu Ting, she was right now a very poor person. It took a lot of resources for her spirit pets to advance, so she could only take out the contribution points jade slip given by A.O. Rong to take a look. The above specifically introduced the rules for how to obtain and use contribution points in the 8 Extreme sect, and also listed the things that could be exchanged in the resource pool in the most recent 3 years. Lu Mu Yen swept it again and found that she and her few spirit pets could use a lot of the things in the resource pool, but the contribution points required added up to an astronomical figure. She could only take one step at a time. Owner, are we going to take on missions to earn contribution points now? Bingji was gearing up. When he was with Lu Mu Yen, he was already used to turning into a 7-colored parrot. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him. In the sect, give it a rest for me. Let's talk about missions tomorrow after listening to the lectures of the elders who teach in the Talisman School tomorrow. The next day, Lu Mu Yen went to the Talisman School to listen to the Grade 4 Talisman Master Elder's lecture. Although she knew most of the things, but there were also things worth learning. Another 2 days passed. Lu Mu Yen flew on her sword and arrived at the sect's Mission Registration Management Office. As soon as she arrived at the entrance of the main hall, she saw many people coming in and out, very lively, and most of them were unfamiliar faces. A few also had very strong auras. Lu Mu Yen stepped into the main hall and headed straight to the innermost registration office. There were 3 supervisors on duty at the registration office at this time. In front of the 3 were long queues, either pupils who were handing in their missions or pupils who were accepting missions. Lu Mu Yen randomly chose a long line to walk over and waited in line like everyone else. During the period, she also heard many discussions. The mission distribution of this sect was divided into 9 ranks. The higher the rank, the higher the difficulty and of course, the more contribution points. Lu Mu Yen listened to the surrounding discussions and found that most of the outer pupils in the sect chose tasks below rank 4, while the inner pupils chose missions below rank 7. As for the missions above rank 7, one generally needed to form a party to complete, and the higher the difficulty factor, there may not even be a single person accepting it for many years. In the mission area, 2 walls refined of spars were specially built. On one side, there was a list of the top 100 contribution points rankings of the inner sect, and on the other, there was a ranking list of the outer sect's top 100 contribution points. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks of course, the contribution points list would also change constantly with the contribution points of pupils. However, it was said that regardless of whether it was the top 10 of the outer sect or inner sect's top 10, the people on the contribution points list would generally not change. Only their rankings would change and the magnitude wasn't big. It was almost an hour's wait before it was her turn. As soon as she walked in, she handed her identity token to the assistant in charge of registration. After the supervisor checked the identity token per guidelines, he handed her a jade slip and said, "The missions are all on it. You can choose it yourself. You can only choose one at a time, and you can continue to accept a second one after completion." All right. Lu Mu Yen used her mental energy to check the missions and found that most of the missions below rank 3 could be completed with the strength of a sword monarch, so she jumped right away and looked at rank 3 missions. In fact, even rank 3 missions weren't that difficult for her, but for the first time taking on a mission, she still followed the principle of being low profile, so she chose the most difficult one among the rank 3 missions. "I choose the mission of catching leopard lion beasts alive," Lu Mu Yen said. The supervisor looked up at her in surprise, thought for a bit, then reminded, "This is the most difficult task in rank 3. It's your first time completing a mission. You can do something simple first." "Thank you for the reminder, but I'll choose this one," Lu Mu Yen said with a smile. After completing this mission, there was only 100 contribution points. For what she wanted to exchange, the contribution points were still far too few. If it wasn't because it was her first time doing a mission to try out, she would definitely choose a mission with high contribution points and difficulty. Only by doing difficult missions could one improve their strength while also gaining contribution points. Then it's up to you. The maximum duration of this task is half a year. If you don't come to hand in the task after half a year, it'll be regarded as automatic abstention. The supervisor had already reminded her, but since the other party still insisted, then he wouldn't say anything more. "All right, then I'll trouble you." Lu Mu Yen didn't go back to her residence after receiving the mission, but instead flew directly to an unmanned area in the 8 Extremes sect to complete the task. When the 8 Extremes sect built the sect, it included several dangerous areas with abundant resources and many demonic beasts. First, it used the method of issuing missions to train pupils of the sect in their growth, and second, it also provided a steady stream of resources for the sect. When Lu Mu Yen left, she was seen by a female pupil who had a good relationship with Xue Laner. After she handed in a rank 3 ordinary mission, she ran to tell Xue Laner, She actually went to accept the most difficult task in rank 3? Xue Laner asked in surprise. I watched her accept it with my own eyes. The supervisor even reminded her, but she still insisted on taking the task. The woman replied. Xue Laner smiled disdainfully. The leopard lion beast is as fast as lightning, and is also a social beast. It's difficult even for a sword sovereign powerhouse to catch 100 of them alive, let alone a pupil who had only just been promoted into sword sovereign. She truly can't weigh herself. Yeah. Even if she has Elder Ao's support, she shouldn't be this arrogant. The woman concurred. Go and release this news. Xue Laner said with a grim smile. You should know what to do, right? I understand. The woman usually clung to Xue Laner and dared not refuse her orders. Besides, she also hated Lu Mu Yen, who could enjoy an individual courtyard. The news that the new pupil Lu Mu Yen was overconfident and accepted the hardest rank 3 mission for her first mission, despite the supervisor's warning, spread within only 2 hours. Many people were influenced by Xue Laner's deliberate spreading of rumors before and disliked Lu Mu Yen. Now that they heard that she was so arrogant, they hated her even more, and waited for her to be unable to complete the mission and be embarrassed. This matter spread to the ears of the headmasters of the various schools, and they all came to pay attention to this matter. After all, although the leopard lion beast's mission was only rank 3, but it was very difficult to complete. So far, no one had managed to catch more than 50 of them alive. Lu Mu Yen didn't know what Xue Laner did. She was currently on her way to the mountain where the leopard lion beasts lived. Of course, if she knew about Xue Laner's plan, she might even applaud her, shouting good. Consecutively slapping faces was her favorite thing to do. Chapter 346. Repeatedly accept, repeatedly hand in. When Lu Mu Yen arrived at a swamp, she found that there were some black dots constantly jumping around in the swamp. Judging from their auras, they were all demonic beasts of tier 5 or 6. She had never seen a leopard lion beast before, and the reason why she knew its living habits was actually because it was recorded in the secret classic that Yi Qing Han gave her. Mo Yen, do you know the fastest way to catch leopard lion beasts? Lu Mu Yen asked Mo Yen as she poked him. Mo Yen glanced at her and said, the leopard lion beast is a demonic beast with the thunder attribute. Its speed is as fast as lightning, and is even faster than your flash steps. It's very difficult to catch it. How about you let out a roar with the pressure of a royal? Lu Mu Yen suggested with a smile. With a sound of pressure coercing these beasts, the leopard lion beasts would be trembling, which would naturally affect their speed and movement of escape. Humph! Don't try to take shortcuts. The speed of the leopard lion beast is very fast, which is perfect for you to improve your flexibility and speed. Mo Yen snorted, appearing like a tsundere. What did this woman think he was? A beast tamer? Lu Mu Yen pouted, thought a bit, then said, since we want to improve, then let's all improve together. She pointed to Bingji and the other spirit pets and said, you all go out to catch 100 of them back. This rank 3 mission was cyclical, which meant it could be completed again and again. She couldn't be the only one tiring herself out, could she? Bingji, Xue, and Miao Miao were all excited, jumped off from Lu Mu Yen and ran right to the swamp. Lu Mu Yen grabbed Mo Yen from her shoulder with a mischievous smile and tossed him right down. Mo Yan's eyes contained a helpless and indulgent smile. He rolled over in mid-air and disappeared from sight. Lu Mu Yen tapped her toes and flew into the swamp as well. 3 days later, one person and a few beasts sat wearily resting on the edge of the swamp. Owner, these leopard lion beasts are so difficult to catch. How about we do another mission? Bingji glared at the little black spots in the swamp and said. At first, they thought the leopard lion beasts were easy to catch, but who knew that those little things were not only extremely fast, but also cunning like foxes. After 3 days of attempting to catch them, except for the few that Mo Yen and Lu Mu Yen caught, the other 3 spirit pets didn't even have any gains. If you encounter difficulties and give up, then how can you continue to cultivate on the path in the future? Lu Mu Yen glanced at him. You've really lost all the faces of divine beasts. If it weren't because of this stinky bird's excelling talent, it would probably be difficult for him to even transform with his laziness. That's right. As if he'll believe that we can't catch any of them when Boss Missouri can. Miao Miao's tender voice was telepathically transmitted. Although Xue also hated entering the swamp as it would greatly restrict his movements, but he found that although he hadn't caught a single leopard lion beast after 3 days, his vine's flexibility and speed had improved. Lu Mu Yen was the kind of person who wanted to challenge the more difficult something was, and her flash steps had also improved a lot in 3 days. Let's also go work too. Lu Mu Yen got up and looked at the white shadow constantly dashing in the swamp. Mo Yen was still catching the leopard-lion beasts. And as such the days went by. Lu Mu Yen and her few demonic beasts went from the initial weariness and tough work and being unable to catch many leopard-lion beasts, to becoming more and more at ease, and found their own tricks. A month later, when Bing Ji returned with the last leopard-lion beast in his mouth, their missions were also completed. 500 leopard-lion beasts can be exchanged for 500 contribution points. This time, the harvest's not that bad. Lu Mu Yen put all the leopard-lion beasts caught in a spirit beast ring. Bing Ji soothed his feathers and said gaudily, "Owner, catching leopard-lion beasts is much easier for us now. Why don't we catch 1,000 and return to hand in?" Lu Mu Yen and the other spirit pets looked at him speechlessly with a urine idiot gaze and didn't reply. She turned around and flew in the direction of the sect. Bing Ji pursed his lips aggrievedly and asked Xue Xue, "Xue, aren't I right?" Xue Xue rolled his eyes at him and said, "Idiot, we've been catching them for so long. Haven't you counted how many leopard-lion beasts there are in the swamp? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, there are only 1,000 at most, and many leopard-lion beasts are already restraining their aura and hiding in the depths of the swamp because we're trying to catch them. It's a waste of our time for us to go catch them." Cough cough. Bing Ji's old face flushed red. "At the time, I was so excited catching them I forgot about the problem of quantity. But we can catch them in a different place. Aren't there still several swamps like this on this big mountain?" Then he added. Lu Mu Yen replied, "We accept missions not just for the contribution points, but also to improve our strength. After a month, our movements, flexibility and speed have all improved, so there's no more meaning in continuing to catch them." As expected, little owner is smart, Bing Ji said with a flattering smile. The other spirit pets all rolled their eyes and scolded, "Sycophant!" As soon as Lu Mu Yen returned to the sect's mission registration office, many people were paying attention. This time, there was still a long queue, and she chose the same supervisor's queue as last time to line up at. When it was her turn, that supervisor was visibly startled, obviously not expecting to meet her again so soon. "Are you handing in the task or giving up the mission and accepting another one?" In the past, many pupils, including inner pupils, had accepted this rank 3 mission, but had not completed it, so the supervisor thought it was the latter. "I'm here to hand in the task," Lu Mu Yen asked with a smile. "Supervisor, may I ask whether this mission can be repeatedly accepted, repeatedly handed in?" The supervisor was stunned for a moment. "It's true you can make repeated exchanges. These are my mission items. Please check it." Lu Mu Yen handed a spirit beast ring to the supervisor. The supervisor took the spirit beast ring to check with some doubt, then his eyes were filled with shock. "You actually caught 100 Tier 6 leopard-lion beasts." In the mission description, the level of leopard-lion beasts to be caught was set to Tier 5 or 6. Most of the people who failed to catch leopard-lion beasts before mostly caught Tier 5, and if they could catch 20 or 30 within half a year, it would already be considered amazing. But this young female pupil not only caught 100 Tier 6 ones, but also only took 1 month, which shocked the supervisor. "My mission should be considered completed, right?" Lu Mu Yen asked with a smile. The supervisor nodded hastily. "It's complete." The supervisor took Lu Mu Yan's identity token and put 100 contribution points into it. "Are you still going to accept a mission?" "I'm still going to accept this mission, and I'll accept it 4 times and turn it in 4 times. Lu Mu Yen said with a smile. "What? Accept 4 times and hand in 4 times?" The supervisor swallowed and asked, "You didn't catch 400 more leopard-lion beasts, did you?" Lu Mu Yen blinked and said, "Yeah, I still have 400. Can you let me take a look first?" The supervisor asked. Lu Mu Yen took out another spirit beast ring and handed it to him. "All 400 are inside." The supervisor took it and looked at it carefully. He was unable to express his feelings in words any longer. Where did this little girl come from? She was actually such an abnormal monster. He quickly made records for Lu Mu Yen 4 more times, then assigned 400 contribution points to her identity token. And the conversations and actions of Lu Mu Yen and the supervisor fell into the eyes of all the pupils in the hall, and the people instantly burst into an uproar. Chapter 347. Mission Maniac. There were whispers in the hall discussing Lu Mu Yen handing in the Leopard Lion Beast mission. The supervisor thought of the importance that Elder of the Inner Sect placed on the Leopard Lion Beast, and a kind smile showed on his serious face and continued to ask, "Do you still want to accept this mission?" Lu Mu Yen shook her head. "No. I want to accept the mission of killing the Flying Prune Beast. Killing 10 Flying Prune Beasts is a rank 4 medium-level mission. And the Flying Prune Beasts aren't only fast-flying type demonic beasts, but also very ferocious. Are you sure you want to accept it?" The supervisor felt that his brain wasn't going to be enough to use anymore. "I'm certain." Lu Mu Yen nodded. "Aren't you going to think about continuing to take on a few more Leopard Lion Beast missions? It's a good deal for you to earn 500 contribution points a month." The supervisor thought for a bit, then urged, "No need. After completing the rank 4 medium-level mission once, you'll have 500 contribution points. I might not even need 1 month, so I don't want to waste time on a rank 3 mission." Lu Mu Yen shrugged. The corner of the supervisor's lips twitched. What did she mean by a waste of time? Why did a rank 4 mission sound like it was as easy as buying cabbages when she said it? One must know that very few people in the outer sect would independently accept a rank 4 medium-level mission. They were mostly accepted by inner sect pupils. Where did this little monster from the outer sect come from? All right. Since you want to accept it, you can give it a try. Seeing that the persuasion was useless, the supervisor registered for her, but ultimately couldn't help but remind her, "But the mission and contribution points isn't important, your life is. Pay attention to your safety. The duration of this task is still half a year." "Thank you, supervisor." Lu Mu Yen took the identity tablet and didn't care about the gazes that were cast on her either, flying directly on her sword towards the mission location. As soon as she left, the supervisor said a few words to the 2 people beside him, then hurriedly left to report this matter. The pupils in the hall also exploded. That pupil named Lu Mu Yen actually completed the mission of catching the Leopard Lion Beasts alive. Amazing. A woman's face was filled with admiration. "Yeah. 500 Leopard Lion Beasts in a month. Her speed and ability are so awesome." A young man said with sparkling eyes. "Maybe she asked someone for help or used some tricks?" The pupil before, who was dependent on Shui Laner, saw Lu Mu Yan's return and was originally here to watch a good joke, but who knew that the situation would be reversed like this, so she bit her lip, saying. The person beside her replied, "Ask someone to help? No one in the sect has completed this task. It should be impossible." "Maybe she asked Elder Ao Rong for help." The woman continued to slander Lu Mu Yan's reputation, unreconciled. A pupil who just happened to come accept a task from the inner sect said with a disdainful smile. "Elder Ao Rong was sent out by the sect leader to do some business a month ago, and there were several other elders who went with him. They haven't even returned to the sect yet. How can he help Lu Mu Yen? Find a more reliable excuse if you want to ruin someone's reputation." He hated people who ruined other people's reputation because of jealousy the most in his life. He had suffered a lot because of this once, so he couldn't help but sneer. Hearing his words, others all thought that it made sense. Someone who was disagreeable with Xie Laner's faction said, "And the mission she accepted just now was a rank 4 medium-level mission. If she didn't have the strength, would she go seek death herself? You can eat random food, but you shouldn't say random things." By the way, it was her and several others who slandered Lu Mu Yan's reputation before. The thing about Elder Ao Rong and Lu Mu Yen being relatives was also spread from them. A person who had a grudge against this woman stood up and said, "They must be jealous of Lu Mu Yen, so they intentionally slandered her. How despicable." Those who could enter the sect and advance to become core pupils or inner pupils were naturally not stupid. Many people had also guessed that the previous rumors were probably all false. Maybe she just used some lucky methods to catch the Leopard Lion Beasts. If we want to see whether she really has the abilities or not, then we'll know once she returns to hand in the next mission. Someone interjected. Everyone started chatting in the hall, but because of this situation, many people had changed their opinion of Lu Mu Yen. Of course, there were still those who were jealous of her and concluded that she found someone to help her. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, this matter also spread quickly, and the headmasters of several schools were shocked. They then immediately paid more attention to Lu Mu Yen. In this way, another 10 days passed. After Lu Mu Yen returned again, she first went to the Talisman School to listen to the lecture of an elder before going to the mission registration office to hand in the mission. then accepted another rank 4 mission. She could only take the previous rank 4 Flying Plume Beast mission once, so the corpses of the remaining 40 Flying Plume Beasts in her interspatial ring weren't taken out. And the news of her return was still widely spread. This time, more people believed that the reason she could choose a separate courtyard to live in was because it was a privilege she obtained through her strength. After all, the Grade 4 missions were all completed by inner pupils. Among the outer core pupils, only the pupils who had also obtained individual courtyards and were the top 10 in rankings on contribution points could complete them. Time passed, and half a year passed like this. During this period, Lu Mu Yen kept accepting missions. Except for the talisman lectures every 10 days, she basically spent her time completing missions outside. Moreover, she already accepted rank 5 and 6 missions, and the time she took handing in these missions was surprisingly fast. According to someone's statistic, she accepted a total of 20 missions in half a year, and the most important factor was that she had never failed. In addition to maniacally accepting missions, her contribution points also advanced into the 90th place in rankings. Because of her strength and her speed in completing tasks, plus the fact that she had never failed, the pupils of the 8 Extreme sect all secretly nicknamed her Mission Maniac. On this day, she finished a rank 6 mission and went to the mission registration office to hand it in. The pupils who were queuing all revealed interest when they saw her come in. Many people were whispering amongst themselves. "The Mission Maniac is here. I wonder which mission she'll challenge this time?" Someone said excitedly. A pupil who had never met Lu Mu Yen said, "She's the legendary Mission Maniac? How beautiful! Not only is she beautiful, but she's also very strong." In half a year, she actually completed 12 rank 6 missions, and she's considered rather famous in the outer sect. How abnormally monstrous. Even Lu Yen, who's first in our outer sect, has never had this record, right? Nope. Lu Yen and the others will take a break after finishing a mission, but she basically never stopped. The discussion here was hot, while Lu Mu Yen ignored those fiery eyes and calmly walked to the familiar supervisor. "This is the mission item this time." The supervisor took over the mission item with a smile and checked it, then swiped the points to her identity token and asked, "What do you want to accept this time?" Hearing the supervisor's question, the surrounding pupils who were whispering quieted down and turned their attention to the two of them. "Won't accept any more. I'll think about it when I have something I want to exchange first." Lu Mu Yen shrugged and smiled lightly. She used the contribution points and exchanged a lot of resources already. High-level ones required too many contribution points, but she didn't want to do missions for the time being. Compared to resources, what she lacked most right now was still spiritual stones. "By the way, supervisor, do you know where you can earn spiritual stones in the sect?" Lu Mu Yen blinked and said, "The type where you can earn a lot of spiritual stones." Chapter 348. The prodigal Scarlet Bee Empress. Hearing Lu Mu Yen say that she wouldn't accept missions anymore, the supervisor was stunned. Just as he was about to speak, he heard her question, and the corner of his lips couldn't help but twitch. What did she mean by one where you could earn a lot of spiritual stones? If there was such a mission or work, he'd also like to do it. There are currently no missions or jobs that directly pay spiritual stones in the sect. Lu Mu Yen furrowed her brows slightly, then asked after a change of mind, "Then is there any trading place in the sect? One where you can trade with spiritual stones?" The Mission Maniac didn't become stupid after doing all those missions right. This was what the people present thought. In fact, one couldn't blame Lu Mu Yen for not knowing. After all, ever since she first arrived at the sect, she was either in seclusion to advance to the core formation stage, or she was continuously doing missions outside, so she wasn't really familiar with the sect. "Cough cough," the supervisor coughed dryly and said with a smile. "There is a commercial street in the sect where you can trade with spiritual stones, and many pupils will go there to set up stalls. If you don't need some things, you can try selling them on that commercial street." This little monster had done so many missions, so she probably had a lot of nice things on her. At least, there would be no shortage of corpses of high-level demonic beasts. "I see. Then thank you, supervisor. I'll check it out in a couple of days." Lu Mu Yen smiled. "No need. If you're ready to accept missions, remember to come to me." The supervisor's attitude was very kind. Since the appearance of Lu Mu Yen, many long-standing missions had been resolved, and he had also been rewarded with a lot of contribution points in the past half a year because of it. Now that Lu Mu Yen wasn't doing mission for the time being, it would be a lie if he said he wasn't disappointed inwardly. No problem. I'll go back first. Lu Mu Yen greeted the supervisor, then left the mission hall. She didn't go to the commercial street immediately, but went back to her residence and slept well for 2 days. She didn't know that in those 2 days when she slept, her own affairs were spread far and wide in the outer sect and many people were looking forward to seeing what she would bring out to exchange for spiritual stones. 3 days later, Lu Mu Yen successfully entered the cultivation base of Middle Phase Sword Sovereign. This was also the result of her constant suppression. Otherwise she would have been able to break through 2 months ago. After finishing, a red bee that wasn't quite yet the size of a palm waved its transparent wings and rubbed against Lu Mu Yen to express its hunger. The corner of Lu Mu Yan's lips twitched. Hungry again? Such a small body, yet eats the total of all the other spirit pets. If this went on, she'd die from poverty. Owner, Qi Huang is hungry again. Bingji watched the little scarlet bee buzz around Lu Mu Yen and couldn't help but roll his eyes. Lu Mu Yen held her forehead. Her only remaining spiritual stones were all eaten up by this little fellow. Whoever dared say she was a prodigal, she'd fight whoever. Now, there was obviously someone who was more of a prodigal than her. 3 months ago, after she completed a mission, she found that the Scarlet Bee Empress emerged from the pupa. Because of the blood essence contract, it was very close to her. But after a while, she discovered a drawback. This little fellow could eat too well. Since tasting spiritual stones and pills, nothing else could match its taste. In 3 months, not only did it eat all the 30,000 spiritual stones she borrowed from Ling Fei Yang, but even most of her grade 3 pills were eaten. But it wasn't like there weren't any benefits eating maniacally like this. The Scarlet Bee Empress, from the moment of birth, was a Tier 4 demonic beast and it only took 3 months to advance to Tier 5. Aside from the resources she provided, excelling talent was also an important reason. She tossed a grade 3 pill to it. When she saw its thin small hands tightly hugging the pill and start to nibble, she instantly felt helpless. No wonder in the secret classic that Yi Qing Han gave her, there was a piece of advice that said if one didn't have enough spiritual stones, one best not raise a Scarlet Bee Empress. Now she finally understood why. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks Lu Mu Yen didn't name the Scarlet Bee Empress. She called it Qi Huang according to its wishes. This was the name of each generation of the Scarlet Bee Empress, and it had already accepted most of the inheritance memories. The Scarlet Bee Empress bore wisdom late, only at Tier 5, but its intelligence wasn't high. Only when it arrived at Tier 7 when it could start breeding scarlet bees would its intelligence be birthed, so the current consciousness of this little fellow was somewhat dull. After cleaning up, Lu Mu Yen found that she wasn't familiar with the sect, and the so-called commercial street wasn't in the sect's introduction jade slip either. After thinking about it, she ran to the smithing school to find Ling Fei Yang and the others. As soon as Lu Mu Yen entered the smithing school, she attracted the attention of many people, and those gazes were filled with curiosity and inquiry. An old pupil of the smithing school secretly rubbed his hands and walked up to Lu Mu Yen with a serious-looking smile and asked, "Is there something junior sister wants from the smithing school? I'm here to find Ling Fei Yang. Can I trouble senior brother to help call for him?" Lu Mu Yen nodded and smiled. She was currently wearing a bright red dress with a beautiful figure, and her stunning face had grown a lot. Her beauty that could cause the downfall of a kingdom had long been prevalent. She wasn't that kind of shy and delicate beauty, but was like a delicate rose with thorns. The contradictory temperament of having some wildness in her elegance only made her even more prominent. No matter what she wore, as long as she just stood there casually, gracefully, she would just always be that attractive. Junior brother Ling went out to do a mission together with junior brother Mo of the array school, so junior sister is probably here in vain today. The young pupil smiled gently. Lu Mu Yen thought a bit, then asked, "Then may I ask senior brother, is Yen Jun here?" "Junior brother Yen is in the smithing room. If junior sister wants to find him, I can take you there." "Then ill trouble senior brother." Seeing that Lu Mu Yen followed a supervising pupil of the smithing school, the pupils of the smithing school also began to discuss in a whisper. "That little beauty is Lu Mu Yen, that mission maniac?" "Yeah. Otherwise why would senior brother Lu be so diligent?" "Just which son of a bitch said that Lu Mu Yen, that mission maniac is big and tall and was even more of a man than a man? Such a beauty can definitely be ranked among the top 5 of the sect. Those people are just talking nonsense with their eyes open. Isn't it all just jealousy? I heard that female pupil of the array school that's been making up rumors has been having a pretty hard time lately. More than hard. I heard that after Elder Ao Rong returned to the sect yesterday, he heard the rumors about the relative situation and went to the sect leader to rage. The headmaster of the array school already demoted the core pupil who secretly spread the rumors to an ordinary pupil. Serves her right. She's not as strong as the others but still wants to gossip. This isn't the secular world, but don't tell me she wants to cause sect intrigue one? I heard that Lu Mu Yen was the champion of the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony, and Elder Ao Rong snatched her from the elders of the other 5 major sects. Only those idiots would spread that kind of foolish rumor. So there's actually that. No wonder Lu Mu Yen can choose to live in a separate courtyard when she came to the sect. In the past, we couldn't snatch anything from the other 5 major sects, but this time, Elder Ao Rong actually snatched the first place, so it's natural to pay more attention to her. The inside story that broke out among the pupils of the array school also spread to the other schools on purpose, and even the inner sect began to hear the name Lu Mu Yen. Yen Jun was currently refining a low-grade saint treasure. He had already failed several times before, and this time, he was also about to fail. Hearing the telepathic transmission from the supervising pupil, he had someone bring Lu Mu Yen in. Want a play on the term palace intrigue or harem intrigue or maybe even palace/harem fight, whichever you've heard. Basically that pupils making fun of all the drama that happens in palaces, which is usually in the secular world where there are still mortals who can't cultivate, and relating it to Lu Mu Yan's situational. Chapter 349. Give guidance. After Lu Mu Yen followed senior brother Lu into an underground smithing room, she felt a wave of heat hit her face. She looked around and saw that there was an underground fire in every smithing room here. The pupils of the smithing school could not only use the power of the underground fire, but it could also help improve their success rate. Yen Jun knew that the two entered, but he didn't speak. He kept staring at the saint treasure in the smithing furnace with his mental energy, sweat dripping from his forehead. He was a grade 3 smith, and recently touched the bottleneck of grade 4, so he had been trying to refine saint treasures in hopes of breaking through. This time, it was also the last batch of materials he prepared for refining the saint treasure. If he failed to break through to grade 4, he would have to retreat for a while. Senior brother Lu, as a pupil of the smithing school, was also a high-level grade 3 smith, but he had no idea that this junior brother was almost going to break through to grade 4. Such talent was something that even very few inner pupils could match. No wonder the headmaster valued Yen Jun so much. He glanced at the smithing furnace in front of Yen Jun and gradually revealed slight pity. Although he didn't understand why the saint treasure refined by Yen Jun would have problems at critical moments, but after all, he had not yet reached that grade 4 level, though he could still feel that explosive energy. Lu Mu Yen walked beside Yen Jun, rubbed her chin and looked at the refining furnace, then suddenly said, "There's something wrong with your fire control. The fire's too strong, so turn it down by a third." Yen Jun didn't expect Lu Mu Yen would say this to him. He was already prepared for the materials to be scrapped, but now that he heard her words, he decided to give it a try, so he reduced the firepower by 1/3. What he didn't expect was that with the smaller firepower, the energy that was almost unable to resist an explosion also weakened. But according to common sense of smithing, his previous firepower was correct. The U spars contain a very gentle water element. It needs to be slowly evaporated with medium fire. Your previous fire was too big to directly roast it, so it almost caused you to fail in refining your saint treasure. Lu Mu Yen saw that he was puzzled and kindly explained. Senior brother Lu's expression changed and he asked, "But if the firepower of the refining is reduced at this time, the hardness will be affected when it's finally formed, and it won't reach the grade of a saint treasure. If the final result was a saint tool, then there was no point in improving." Yen Jun also had the same question inwardly. While controlling the intensity of the flame as Lu Mu Yen said, he looked at her asking for advice. Who stipulated that the final flame of smithing needed to be a big fire? The temperature requirements below grade 4 are almost all due to the materials when smithing. The materials for smithing saint treasures are very different from those you use to refine grade 3 saint tools. Didn't you discover that? Lu Mu Yen had a serious look on her face. Yen Jun suddenly felt as if he had caught onto something. You mean that the smiths above grade 4 all control the heat according to the materials when smithing? Not only do you need to control the heat according to the materials, but also understand the attributes of the materials. Just like the saint treasure you're refining now. The properties of the U-spar and the bright jade glaze are complete opposites. If you added some vanadium power to neutralize the properties of the two, even if you used the heat earlier, you wouldn't have come close to exploding like that. If you don't add neutralizing materials, then you need to control the degree of firepower, so you must know the properties and characteristics of smithing materials. Also, you have to feel the changes of each material during the refining and fusion process with your heart, and turn them into a part of you, as if you're melting yourself into it. Then you'll definitely be able to break through to grade 4. Lu Mu Yen thought a bit, then made a few remarks. Yen Jun's eyes lit up and asked, I can feel that the U-spar is more harmonious with the other materials after removing the water element now, and the bright jade glaze is starting to soften. Should I increase the firepower now? Smart. Go to the forming stage according to your feelings. Don't bring in the fixed thinking when refining a saint tool. The highest state of smithing is to comprehend it with your heart. After speaking, Lu Mu Yen turned around and walked not far away to sit on a chair, no longer prompting. Smithing was different to alchemy. Spiritual tools came from the hands of smiths, and each of their attributes, shapes and uses were all different. There were only methods but no formulas, and one needed to deeply comprehend it themselves. Yen Jun closed his eyes and suddenly, there was a sense of enlightenment. He wholeheartedly probed his mental energy into the refining furnace to feel the changes of the materials in the furnace, controlling the firepower and fusion according to his understanding and experience of the materials. He gradually indulged in a strange state. Senior brother Lu was also staring at the refining furnace to observe the changes in it, and his eyes sometimes revealed confusion, other times enlightenment. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. 2 hours later, the refining furnace made a crisp sound, and a cyan light escaped from within it. Yen Jun grabbed, and a cyan bangle fell in his hands. Although the bangle didn't have too many decorations and appeared ordinary, but it had a faint sense of restraint. It's really completed. After refining this defensive bangle, Yen Jun's mood also changed a lot. He actually arrived at a grade 4 smith as if it was a matter of course. Lu Mu Yen chuckled. Congratulations on becoming a grade 4 smith. You're probably the first grade 4 smith in the smithing school of the outer sect. It's all thanks to your guidance that I can become a grade 4 smith today. Yen Jun's eyes were filled with gratitude. If it weren't for Lu Mu Yan's enlightenment, he might not have been able to advance to grade 4 for many years because he had forced himself to a dead end. No wonder there were so few smiths grade 4 and above, and they generally didn't easily explain their own experiences to others. It turned out that it was because they had to understand the true meaning of smithing themselves. Lu Mu Yen smiled carefreely. It's all because of your talent. Senior brother Lu was also very excited right now. After hearing Lu Mu Yan's words just now, he also felt that he had grasped onto something, and he believed that he would be able to touch that barrier in time. It is better listening to junior sister Lao's words than reading 10 years of books. Even the elder of the smithing school hadn't mentioned these essences to us. You're also a high-grade smith, right? If Lu Mu Yen wasn't very familiar with smithing, then how could she possibly instruct Yen Jun to refine a saint treasure-level magic tool? In particular, her familiarity with smithing materials was better than them smiths. It not only made him extremely shocked, but he also admired her a little more. I only heard about it too. It's good that it's useful to you. Lu Mu Yen smiled faintly, obviously not wanting to say any more. When they realized that she was avoiding and didn't want to say anything, they tacitly stopped asking. Senior brother Lu looked at Lu Mu Yen thoughtfully and took this favor of her guidance to heart. Mu Yen, did you come to find me today for something? Yen Jun asked with a beautiful arc on his thin lips. He was now certain that Lu Mu Yen was definitely a smith, and her level wasn't low either. Just what kind of little monster was this woman? Was there anything she didn't know how to do? Now wasn't the time to ask her for advice, however. When he had an opportunity, he still wanted to find her to discuss the experience of smithing. Lu Mu Yen nodded. Are you familiar with the commercial street? Commercial street? I've been there a few times, but I wouldn't consider myself to be that familiar with it. Yen Jun thought a bit, then replied. As long as you've been there, that's fine. If you've got nothing to do right now, can you accompany me to the commercial street? Lu Mu Yen asked. No worries. It's my honor to accompany a beauty to the commercial street. Yen Jun said jokingly. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him. It's getting late, let's go quickly. Junior sister Lu. I'm quite familiar with the commercial street. If you don't mind, I can take you both there? Lu Qian said with a smile. He became more and more curious about this junior sister, who had a loud reputation in the outer sect. Taking her to the commercial street could also be considered a little repayment for the guidance just now. Sure. Then Trouble senior brother. It could save a lot of trouble if there was a supervising pupil of the array school take them. It'd be a waste if she didn't accept labor that was sent to her door willingly. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.